Coming up on Primetime Pistons, presented by Farmer Jack, Big Ben Wallace and the Pistons will take on one big challenge on opening night when Yao Ming and the Houston Rockets visit. We'll break down this monster matchup between two all-star centers. Pistons fever has hit Motown, and some of the team's biggest fans are especially revved up for the season to start. We take a closer look at their driving obsession. Later on, Richard Hamilton takes time out from schooling opposing shooting guards to take us back to school. Plus, we take a musical look back at the Pistons' exciting championship run from last summer. And after conquering the world, the Pistons are shooting for the stars. Don't miss the first ever installment of Interplanetary Pistons. It's all coming up on Primetime Pistons. Let's count down the best plays of the preseason in Farmer Jack's Top 5 Plays of the Week.
Top of the key, Radojevic screens Parker for him. McLeod lost the ball on the floor. Hit there by Parker, picked up by Rasheed, forecourt. Dishes deep for a dunk to Ronald Dupree. And the lead is 7, 63 to 56. Marvin Ham out of the crowd. Rip, alley-oop to Tayshaun. Uh-oh is right if you're the Wizards.
That's something that they really like doing in transition. Tayshaun gets out well. They know they can put that marb up there to him, and he's going to finish.
Trailing by 1. Parker left wing, top side of Delfino. Carlos Delfino gets the screen from Dixon, heads for the right baseline. Top side feed to Jenkins. Horace Jenkins penetrates. Right corner to Delfino, takes it right wing.
No.
And he triples! He triples! Pistons by 2, 6 seconds to go.
After 3,
Boston takes a timeout. Ball, Carlos Delfino with a rebound. Splits the defense. Still has it. Gives it up to Smart for the stop. Make it 83-78.
That's what they're waiting for. The fans are now on their feet saying, all right, let's go.
Boston to LaFrance. Try to deep bounce it to Pierce. Swipe by Nigel Dixon. A dish ahead to Delfino. 3-on-1. And Delfino skies and jams. And the Piston bench goes absolutely crazy.
Man.
Oh, what a throwdown.
Oh, boy.
NBA.com has announced the results of their annual general manager survey. 33% think the Pistons will repeat as NBA champs, while 45% think the Spurs will walk away with the hardware. The league's GMs didn't vote on the best fans, but that's no contest. It's Pistons fans hands down. Check out this week's Fan Cam for evidence. Now it's time for the Fro Factor. During the Pistons playoff run this summer, when Ben Wallace unleashed the Fro, his team went a perfect 7-0. And when Big Ben's hair went up, so did his scoring, at nearly 4 more points per game. That's this week's Fro Factor. Coming up on Primetime Pistons, we break down the opening night matchup in the middle, Ben Wallace versus Yao Ming. Some of Big Ben's biggest fans let us inside their Piston Mobile. And Rip Hamilton takes us back in time.
I believe it was a great experience, just simple fact that was the opportunity in life where you got a chance to eat McDonald's, eat Wendy's, right before the game, and still go out there and play without getting no cramps.
Plus, the world champs show off their universal appeal. It's all coming up on Primetime Pistons. Primetime Pistons, presented by Farmer Jack, is brought to you by Farmer Jack. We're thinking fresh. And by Captain Morgan Original Spiced Rum. Drink responsibly. Captain's orders.
It's time to go to work.
Welcome back to Primetime Pistons. Let's take a look at the week ahead for the defending world champions. The Pistons begin their season Tuesday at 8 p.m. against Tracy McGrady and the Houston Rockets at the Palace. McGrady is the first player ever to get traded after leading the league in scoring. Now he'll team up with Yao Ming to form one of the NBA's best 1-2 punches. On Friday, the Pistons crossed the border to take on Vince Carter and the Toronto Raptors. You can see this one live right here on Detroit's WB20. Carter was the leading vote-getter in All-Star balloting last year, and he remains the league's preeminent high flyer. And on Saturday at 7:30, the Pistons play host to Allen Iverson and the Philadelphia 76ers. For a closer look at this week's key one-on-one matchup, George Blaha analyzes Big Ben versus Yao.
They have been the starting centers in each of the last two All-Star games. But the similarities end there when discussing the Pistons' Ben Wallace and the Rockets' Yao Ming. Big Ben checks in at 6'9", though teammates say maybe closer to 6'7". Meanwhile, Yao measures a full 7 feet 5 inches. Despite the difference in height, Ben has enjoyed his share of success against Yao, including success in their very first meeting.
Here he is checking Yao Ming with some help from Mike Curry. Ming, by Pan. Stay outside with it. Screen by Corliss for Chucky. Finger roll over Yao Ming. No tap Ben. No another tap Ben. Yes.
There's that quick leaping ability of Ben Wallace.
Ben dominated Yao in his rookie year as the Pistons rolled to 2 double-digit wins. Last season, Yao fared much better against his Eastern Conference counterpart. On December 6th, Yao tallied 22 points and 20 rebounds in a Rockets win in Houston. But 1 month later, Big Ben regained the upper hand as the Pistons held the Rockets center to just 4 points and 5 rebounds in a 19-point blowout at the Palace.
When he's hot, he's real hot. Tayshaun penetrates, hooks a pass deep inside to Ben. Nice reverse. Laid it in. Yao Ming hit the floor.
Ben swatted 3 shots in that game on his way to 246 on the year, a figure that ranks second in the NBA. Meanwhile, despite being nearly 10 inches taller, Yao did not rank in the top 10 in blocks. As he becomes more accustomed to the NBA game, look for that to change. But for now, Ben Wallace owns the no-fly zone in this matchup. Yao and Big Ben will renew their budding rivalry on opening night, Tuesday at the Palace. But this time, Yao faces double trouble. This will be the first time he'll see Ben's partner in the post, Rasheed Wallace, in a Piston uniform.
Thanks, George. Ben Wallace and company have Motown sports fans feeling Pistons fever, and some have taken this to the extreme.
We have here the Detroit Pistons logo with ghost flames symbolizing the Pistons and their hard effort. And down in front, we modified the front grille. We took the bow off, smoothed everything out, and ran a billet grille behind it. We have ghost flames coming off the top of the truck. Also, as we reach the side door, we have the other Pistons logo with the flames and the basketball coming off. The truck is done in tangerine pearl at Urban Asylum. I think it was about 8 coats of paint to do it. We went as far as to even put the tangerine pearl disc behind the rim.
The rims are big 22-inch rims from Xenix, and the car is outfitted with airbags above each tire that can raise it off the ground to get through those troublesome Detroit potholes. On the tailgate of the truck, the talented artists at Urban Asylum took some more creative liberties.
The artwork with the spirit of Detroit, holding the championship trophy and the basketball with the jersey on. We also have the Detroit skyline with the Ambassador Bridge, GM building, the whole city representing the city of Detroit.
They did everything with the Pistons and basketball in mind. The seats were fashioned in ultra suede with basketball piping, and basketballs can be found everywhere in the car, on the door locks, on the gear shifter, and even putting a little bounce in the sound system. The interior was painted in the same tangerine pearl as the exterior, and it too got some extra detail. A mural of the MVP, Eastern Conference, and championship trophies. But the best part of the car is hidden from view.
We decided that if the Pistons couldn't practice at their facility, we can take them on the road and they can practice in our facility. So we did a Pistons stadium. The pieces on the court are 4,523 individual pieces of wood, scaled down as the same size as the Palace Court. We have 600 individual seating, so Bill Davidson, we have a seat for you. Tom Wilson, we have a seat for you. And 598 of your family.
Coming up on Primetime Pistons, we go back to school with Rip Hamilton. The Pistons take a moment to answer this week's question of the week. And we live and let die with the Pistons during their exciting playoff run. Plus, we launched the first ever Pistons cartoon. It's all coming up on Primetime Pistons, presented by Farmer Jack.
It's time to go to work.
Rock Financial presents Pistons basketball. They were overlooked, underappreciated, and written off. Only thing is, no one told them. Now they're back doing what they do best. They're going to work. This season, don't miss the NBA champion Detroit Pistons as the Defenders. Rated TG. For tickets going fast. For advance tickets, call the Palace or go to Pistons.
Welcome back to Primetime Pistons, presented by Farmer Jack. Before Richard Hamilton became a shooting star with the Pistons, he was a rising star at Coatesville High School in Pennsylvania.
Growing up playing basketball in high school, I mean, it was one of the greatest experiences of all time because, you know, you're playing with guys that you grew up with your whole life. You know, you're going out there, you have fun. You know, you're playing against other teams that, you know, in the next town over and things like that. So I believe it was a great experience, you know, just in the fact that that was the opportunity in life where you got a chance to eat McDonald's, eat Wendy's, you know, right before the game, and still go out there and play without getting no cramps. I think it was a great experience. My fondest memory of playing basketball, high school basketball, was probably playing against Cole, Lower Marion, you know, because at the time, he was number 1 in the state, I was number 2 in the state. You know, we was both McDonald's All-Americans. I think that was the first time that happened in the state of Pennsylvania. And, you know, it was all the hype. You know, they was selling tickets for $100 for a high school game, and that's crazy. You know, you pay $3, you know, for a high school game. Now you're paying $100. But it was fun because we got an opportunity to play at the Palestra. It was only supposed to fill 9,000 people, but 12,000 people showed up. So it was actually people in the walkways and things like that. So I think that was probably one of my greatest experiences. My teammates was the best because, you know, in high school, you know, your teammates are always the greatest because at that time, everybody on my team thought they was better than me. You know, we all grew up together. We all knew each other. So it wasn't like, okay, they gave me any more credit than anybody else did on the team. You know, if I came down and scored 20 points, the other person thought we should score 20 points. If I came down and shot a three-pointer from 3 steps behind a three-point land, the other guy did it too. But that just lets you know that, you know, how real people was, you know, where we was from. And to this day, you know, I still hang out with the same guys. You know, the same guys that's on my team in high school are the same guys that actually stay up here in Detroit with me.
Richard Hamilton and the Pistons will open their season Tuesday at 8. So we asked the team, what makes opening night special?
I think the thing that makes opening night so special is the rings. I mean, I've been saying wow since we actually, you know, won the game. And all summer everybody been like, yo, where's your ring at? Where's your ring at? Where's your ring at? So to get that thing on that first day, I mean, wow, it's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be crazy.
Getting my jewelry, man. I've been waiting all summer for my ring. And now I finally get the opportunity to get it. So it's gonna be a special night, man. Historic night. Get to put another one of these banners up, and especially being from a Saginaw, Michigan, sort of a hometown cat, watching these guys get the first two, it's gonna be extra special for myself.
What makes it open? The fans. I think the fans have an opportunity to come back in for the first night and play in front of everyone again. I think that's the most special thing about it. In the opening part of the ceremony, I think that's the biggest key.
Thanks, guys. This week's Captain Morgan's championship moment takes you back to early last season, November 18th, when Kobe Bryant and the Los Angeles Lakers were in town. After losing a close one in L.A. 4 days earlier, the Pistons rallied at home behind Ben Wallace and Chauncey Billups and gave the Lakers a look at things to come.
Chauncey gets inside Devin George. He'll scoop around George and Malone. He hits it, count it, and a foul. Down to 6. Chauncey against Peyton. Chauncey gets Bram, sets up man for the Thunderdog. 1.1 seconds till halftime. 7 minutes without a field goal for the Lakers. They let Chauncey strike from the corner all by himself, and he buried the triple.
The final score, Pistons 106, Lakers 96. Coming up on Prime Time Pistons, it's a musical tribute to last summer's incredible championship run and the debut of Interplanetary Pistons, the first ever fully animated Pistons cartoon.
Presents Pistons basketball. In a city full of pride, there stands a force whose job is to defend its honor. A force with iron will, unwavering desire, and a serious hankering for hardware. The blockbuster with 32 consecutive sellouts, but still has seats available. The Detroit Pistons are going to work as the Defenders. Rated TG. For tickets going fast. For advance tickets, call the Palace or go to pistons.com.
Time Pistons, presented by Farmer Jack, is brought to you by Farmer Jack. We're thinking fresh. And by Captain Morgan Original Spiced Rum. Drink responsibly. Captain's orders. Welcome back to Primetime Pistons. Now it's time for the first ever installment of
the Interplanetary Pistons. When called upon by Joe D by way of his lovable sidekick Hoover, these champions of the world go to work and become champions of the universe.
Remember, guys, we're playing the T-Wolves tonight. Stretch out real good.
No problem. Nothing limbers me up like a pregame soak. What the? Look, it's a jacuzzi horse.
He's got a work order from Joe D. KG let his MVP trophy go to his head? He's taking over Mars and plans to turn everybody on Earth into his look-alike?
Oh, man, he's ball. Let's go to work.
MVP. That stands for my very own planet. Rookie, spin my ball again. Now get my hooray ray. Everybody wants to be me, and in one blast, they'll get their chance.
That's one shot you ain't gonna make, KG.
Interplanetary Pistons?
That's right, and we're gonna stop you with our ozone defense.
Oh, yeah?
Go, Fro!
How about that? A hot dog done in by hot dogs. Hey, thanks for bringing me back down to earth, guys. I just wish Hooper got out of the way of your ray. That's freaky. Right on.
Now that's fantastic.
Before we go, let's take another look at the excitement of last summer's incredible championship run, set to Paul McCartney and Wings, Live and Let Die.
When you were young and your heart was an open book, you used to say, live and let live. If this ever-changing world in which we live in makes you give in and cry, say live and let die. Live and let die. Live and let die. Live and let die. used to say, live and let live. But if this ever-changing world in which we live in makes you give in a cry, say live and let die. Live and let die. Live and let die. Live and let
Time Pistons is produced by Palace Sports and Entertainment. Tune in next Saturday at 6 p.m. for the next episode right here on Detroit's WB20.
Well, as you can see, the opening night festivities and the excitement mounting at the Palace of Auburn Hills, the home of the NBA champion Pistons, as they prepare to take on the Houston Rockets on opening night. The national anthem moments away. We turn it over to John Mason, the Pistons PA announcer.
Ladies and gentlemen, can you remain standing? And we're asking all gentlemen to remove your hats as we now welcome to the Piston floor Grammy Award-winning recording artist, superstar Miss Anita Baker to perform the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets ran glad with the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Anita Baker.
All right, so they are ready to go at the Palace of Auburn Hills, obviously, and we're in a very festive mood here, aren't we, Charles? That's a nice lid, both of you guys. It's basketball New Year, and that's why we have
fifth grade.
the props right here. Looks like he used to say dunks on it, but
sit in the corner. You know what's funny, Ernie? I've been in about 5 of these, winning the championship. Most of the time, we lost on ring ceremony. So look for Houston.
I've been on 2.
To beat them because you're concentrating on your ring more than the game.
You know what they like to do in New York City, I guess, and other places, is they like to drop the ball, or they drop the peach
we got a ball
in Atlanta, and that kind of signifies.
I've never heard dropping the peach. That's not national.
That's what they do. That's what they do here in Atlanta, Atlanta, Georgia. Is this not good for you, Charles?
Trust me, I told you. Andre's a guy's name. It ain't no champagne. Damn, Andre.
We're on a little bit of a budget
Times
here.
are tough. Times are tough to TNT. So got to get that AOL stock back up.
They fooled us with the color of the bottle. They thought they had to.
You see, they got a warning.
Oh no, they got a warning on the champagne.
At any rate,
hey, y'all skipping it, TNT.
Let's begin the countdown to basketball New Year. How corny can this possibly get? Here it is. 10. This is 9, so bad.
We don't even have a ball.
7, 6, 5, 4,
Happy
3,
basketball
2,
New Year. We're back, baby.
It is Happy Basketball New Year. Next stop, the Palace of Auburn Hills for the Pistons and the Rockets.
Sit back and drink some Andre.
They get them big rings tonight. Congratulations to the Pistons.
That's Kool-Aid.
Roll the tape, boys.
That's Kool-Aid. Mama, I know Kool-Aid. I ain't.
Here we go again. NBA opening night. TNT is crazy. Bright lights, big city. Everybody is ready for this one. Even people are asking me for tickets courtside. I don't know if I can help them.
All right, now lose it. Just lose it.
Will Detroit repeat? That is the big question. Shaq and Kobe broke up. It was a long relationship. I hear it's bitter. You never know. It may be fisticuffs. We got Tracy McGrady in Houston right now. He was already killing it by himself. Now we got McGrady with a 7'5" Chinese dude. Oh my goodness, order your takeout. LeBron and Carmelo. Carmelo and LeBron. I know you're sick and tired of hearing those two names mentioned, but one of you guys has got to do something to make people forget about the other. It's got to happen this year. I know you made it to the playoffs, Carmelo, but that's old news. Now, see, the thing is that everybody gets to the playoffs now, but it's what you do once you get there. That's how you become the new Magic, the new Bird, the new Michael Jordan. And that ain't even it. I have not even mentioned Tim Duncan, Jermaine O'Neal, AI, Jason Kidd. Everybody's back, and everybody wants a ring. It's going down on TNT. Trust me, I gotta take my jacket off.
We are back at the Palace of Auburn Hills, the home of the defending champion Detroit Pistons. There it is, the Larry O'Brien Trophy. We're moments away from the championship ring ceremony. To get us started, here is the public address voice of the Pistons, John Mason.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the golden voice of the Detroit Pistons, George Blaha.
Thank you, John Mason. Let me say it again. You believed in this team, Detroit, and they delivered a third NBA World Championship to the Motor City. Good evening, everybody. It's my honor and privilege to be part of the ceremonies honoring not only the hardest working team in sports, but the hardest working fans in the world. In a moment, the champions will get their rings, and we will do what no other team can do tonight, anywhere in the world. Raise a world championship banner to the Palace rafters. And now to reward the champions with their NBA championship rings, three very distinguished gentlemen. Entering his third decade in the league, he's made the game the most popular in the world. As fine a commissioner as any league has ever known, NBA Commissioner David Stern. The owner of the Pistons since 1974. He has made them an elite franchise. Now, a three-time NBA champion owner and the owner of the reigning Stanley Cup champion Tampa Bay Lightning, Mr. Bill Davidson. And the man responsible for the incredible growth of the Pistons and the Palace Sports and Entertainment Organization, the Pistons president and CEO, Mr. Tom Wilson.
Happy Basketball New Year, Detroit. Before we tip off the new year, we have to ring in the old by awarding your 2004 NBA champion Detroit Pistons their rings. Let me say to Bill Davidson, a fan's owner, to Tom Wilson, the president of this team, to Joe Dumars, the president of basketball operations, to head coach Larry Brown, who had this team playing the game the right way, and to your extraordinary 2004 champions, the Detroit Pistons, congratulations. And let me say to the city of Detroit, it really does make a difference what kind of support you give your team, and you gave your team the best support ever. So congratulations to you. Let's give out the rings.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. And now the crowning moment. You can't buy it, you can only earn it. A World Championship ring. Our fitting first recipient. Build a championship team in his own mold, really. Hardworking, tough, defensive-minded, team-oriented. And he did it in just 4 short years after becoming the Pistons president of basketball operations. The Pistons' legendary number 4, a 2-time champion on the court, the '89 NBA Finals MVP, now a champion in the front office, Joe Dumars. Joe's right-hand man when it comes to basketball. He's as good as it gets. The Pistons' vice president of basketball operations, John Hammond. Representing the rest of the ownership group, former Piston GM, longtime legal counsel, Oscar Feldman. His team set a championship example with their unselfish play. The only man to coach a team to an NCAA and NBA crown, the Pistons Hall of Fame coach, Larry Brown. And now Larry's fine assistant coaches. Assistant coach Dave Hanners. Assistant coach Igor Kokoskov. Assistant coach Pat Sullivan. Assistant coach Brendan O'Connor. He's in his 29th NBA year, as enthusiastic and committed as ever. The Pistons' terrific trainer, Mike Abdenauer. He is simply the best in the business. The Pistons' strength and conditioning coach, Arnie Kander. And now your world champion Piston players, fans. The youngest player to ever play an NBA Finals game, Darko Milicic. The pride of Saginaw, Michigan. As tough as nails, a tremendous asset to his team, Duncan Darvin Ham. A cagey, battle-tested veteran big man. He came up so big in the NBA Finals, the Big Easy, Eldon Campbell. When he returned to the Pistons last season, he brought championship know-how with him, a tenacious backcourt defender and a clutch shot maker, and an all-world person, Lindsey Hunter. He made the block heard round the world on Reggie Miller in the Eastern Conference Finals. He's a nightmare to play against, a 6'9" small forward who plays 7 feet tall. The long arm of the law around here, Tayshaun Prince. This multi-talented big man put the Pistons over the top when he came last winter. He does it on both ends of the court. An all-star talent with an unrelenting will to win, the ultimate team player, Rasheed Wallace. Does anybody move without the ball any better than the Pistons scoring leader? He's cat quick. He has that killer mid-range jumper, Richard "Rip" Hamilton. He's become the point guard who does it all, distributes the ball, defends, and can beat you with a shot from anywhere on the floor. The Pistons missed a big shot. The NBA Finals MVP, Chauncey Billups. And now the man this championship team was built around. The heart and soul of the Pistons, one of the game's greatest all-time defenders. He wrote the book on going to work every night. Big Ben Wallace. And now representing the best fans in sports, his name drawn in a random drawing by Ben Wallace. He receives a World Championship ring for all of you, really. Detroit firefighter Dave Muring. Gentlemen.
On behalf of the Detroit Pistons, we want to congratulate Dave for winning a ring. And also we want to thank you, Dave, and we want to thank all of y'all for being the best fans in the world. Thank you.
And now, the moment we've all been waiting for. The raising of the World Championship banner. So everybody around the globe can see that the Detroit Pistons are the champions of the world.
I've made a few. I've had my share of fat kicks in my face, but I've come through. Let me go on. Keep on fighting till the end.
Welcome back to the Palace of Auburn Hills as you take a look at what is now 4 championship drive. It used to be 3 championship drive with 3 Piston championships, 89, 90, and 2004, and a WNBA title won by the Detroit Shock a couple of seasons back. So we now have it added up to 4. Yes, Marv Albert, Lazar, Mike Fratello, Steve Kerr, as we check out the starting lineups on opening night in the NBA, and a huge night here in the Motor City as they raise the championship banner, distributed the championship rings. The Houston Rockets providing the opposition, backcourt of Charlie Ward, Tracy McGrady, and up front, Maurice Taylor, Jim Jackson, and Yao Ming. And for the defending champion Pistons, Chauncey Billups, Rip Hamilton of the guards, Rasheed Wallace, Tayshaun Prince, and Ben Wallace are up front. And let's throw it to Craig Sager. Craig?
Well, Marv, we had championship rings, we had banners, we also had world championship belts. Rasheed Wallace surprised all of his teammates and the entire coaching staff by having world championship belts, sort of like they have in wrestling, for each of the player. Each one was personalized. They wore them out onto the court. According to Rasheed Wallace, it is not about getting back to the NBA championship. We are the champions. We know what it takes to get there. Somebody is going to have to take it from us. We are the world champs.
All right, Craig, we talked with Larry Brown prior to tonight's game and asked, will all the euphoria, all the emotion that takes place tonight, can that affect his team? And Larry said, well, he wants his guys to enjoy it. They certainly did.
He said, you know what, it's just one game. Let's let them enjoy their moment in the sun, and they certainly earned it. With that said, I don't think it'll take too long for them to adapt and to get into the game. I always felt that was overrated as a player. Of course, it was a lot easier when you had Michael Jordan on your team to take care of all those distractions.
This Piston organization has always been a first-class operation. Those rings run somewhere between $5,000 to $7,000 $10,000 apiece, but they bought 5 different levels of rings, meaning all their employees in the building, in the Piston organization, all will get some form of ring. Just a great tribute by ownership to the hardworking people here.
Well, there's some tears shed by you, Steve, one of the rare nights that there's been a ring ceremony, and you have not received your very own.
A very difficult night for me, Marv. I'm trying to deal with it. But I will tell you this, one of the great things about ring night is the enormous sense of civic pride. And you can see the people here in Detroit not only so proud of their team, but of their city as well.
Well, the Pistons control the opening tip. The officials, Steve Javie, Scott Foster, and Zach Zarba. As Billups is played by Ward, Ben Wallace staying outside. And the Pistons get right to it. Rip Hamilton with the first bucket of the season.
You can see right away Detroit trying to work on Yao Ming on that high screen and roll, making him defend out on the perimeter.
And as we discussed earlier, a new look Rocket team with a combination of Yao Ming and Tracy McGrady as Taylor takes it to the hoop. He is fouled by Wallace. Rockets in the preseason had a record of 3-4 preseason that included the 2 games against Sacramento in China, in Shanghai, and Beijing. They lost their last 3 games, while Detroit went 3-5, and as Larry Brown put it, it was a very sloppy preseason. Charlie Ward, played by Chauncey Billups, and the pass off the mark could not be handled by Yao Ming.
It's a problem all last year for this team, Marv. Turnovers, and with this backcourt being a little long in the tooth, shall we say, could be a problem again this year. Not a whole lot of speed in this Rocket backcourt.
All right, Prince comes up short. Wallace try to save it. The ball back to the Rockets.
There is no question that Houston has 2 outstanding pieces in Yao Ming and Tracy McGrady, but there are a lot of other holes here that Jeff Van Gundy must try and fill during the course of the season. You mentioned the backcourt, and Pistons, they'll pressure them the entire evening trying to force turnovers, but speed and quickness and people putting it on the floor, that's a problem for Houston.
Here is Yao Ming. And rebounded by Ben Wallace. Hamilton and Prince. Wallace being played by Taylor. Ben Wallace showing us the outside touch. Detroit with a 4-0 lead.
I think one of the things winning a championship can do, Marv, is gives you a lot of confidence. I don't know if Larry really wants Ben Wallace shooting that shot all year, though.
Taylor with a pretty pass for Yao Ming.
That's pretty good execution and pretty good interior passing for a big man. Taylor knew exactly where Yao Ming was as a result of the help defense by the Pistons.
Talking about the erratic preseason that Detroit went through, they averaged 25 turnovers a game as Rasheed Wallace is not able to hit. Larry Brown feels that the team took quick shots. They were playing at a quicker tempo than they are accustomed to. This is Maurice Taylor. And deflected out of bounds. Last touch by. Well, now the officials talking it over. And they say it will be Houston ball.
I think it's so important. You mentioned Larry Brown saying that his team took a lot of quick shots. So important for a championship team to remember what got them there in the first place. And for Detroit, it's defense. Offensively, they don't score a lot, but they share the wealth. They've got to continue to remember this is what got them here. This is what they've got to do this year as well.
And here is Yao Ming. Rebounded by Hamilton. 2.5 minutes gone by on opening night in the NBA. Nice pass. It counts and the foul. So Ben Wallace will head to the line.
One of the keys was to keep this man, Hamilton, away from the elbow area. Well, he gets to the elbow, and then he throws right back where he came from. Hamilton knew that the defense stepped up. Ben Wallace happy to know that he's got an unselfish teammate that could deliver the ball.
Well, It's all going right offensively here at the start for Ben Wallace. Only 49% at the line last season, which, as it turns out, was a career high. So a three-point play for Ben Wallace. Pistons with a 7-2 lead. Shot clock is down to 5. Here is Jackson. Yao Ming trying to keep it alive. Phillips putting the move on Ward of the foul. Blocking foul on Charlie Ward.
This Piston defense is a smothering type of defense, and we haven't even seen them yet turn up the heat, so to say, with the run and jump and double teams in the backcourt. Larry Brown predicates the success of his team on defense first.
Rasheed Wallace for 3.
Mike, as you know, one of the devastating aspects of their defense a year ago was their backcourt pressure. I think this team may miss Mike James, who's now playing for the Milwaukee Bucks. He and Lindsey Hunter really came in and changed games a year ago.
Here's Taylor trying to squeeze by.
The James Hunter backcourt was one of those things. Corliss Williamson, the other piece, as Hamilton misses the little fadeaway. Corliss Williamson coming in as this small forward, gave him another post-up element a year ago. That's changed a little bit now.
Yes, the core group of the Pistons has remained intact as Tracy McGrady is not able to hit. But gone from last year, 3 top subs in the Meadow core. Mike James, as you mentioned, and Corliss Williamson.
They will be replaced by that man there, Derek Coleman. You also see Lindsey Hunter there. He's probably going to play a little bigger role, and the guy on your left, Carlos Delfino, a rookie from Argentina who barely played on the national team. Shows you how talented that club was, but is being counted on to play big minutes here for Detroit in his rookie year.
He actually led the Pistons in minutes played in preseason as McGrady turns the corner on the baseline and finishes with the dunk.
Tracy McGrady, who went through a very long season last year, won a second straight scoring title. He averaged 28 points per game. Shot selection was questioned. Shot a career low 42%. Was settling 4 jump shots. Here's Rasheed Wallace. And the Pistons now lead at 9-4.
Rasheed Wallace is so much better offensively on the block than I think even he knows. And I think Detroit would be well served this year if he can take a little more of a scoring load upon his shoulders, take that ball a little more assertively to the hole as he did there.
Charlie Ward firing up, I should say, Jim Jackson firing the 3, and now here is Maurice Taylor. Hamilton kept alive by Ben Wallace.
I'm not sure that Jeff Van Gundy at 2 for 10 from the floor right now is completely happy with the shot selection of the Rockets.
Phillips from downtown. The Pistons have come out on fire and lead the Rockets 12-4.
Now so much for those ring night jitters.
Rockets take a timeout.
We've seen this happen so many times where Phillips, wide open behind the three-point line, decides it's his turn and makes it.
The NBA on TNT, brought to you by Jaguar Cars. Jaguar, born to perform. By Verizon Wireless, we never stop working for you. By IBM, the people and solutions that make on-demand business a reality for companies around the world. And by Adidas Basketball, home of the new T-Mac 4.
Welcome back. The Pistons leading 12-4. And Marv and Steve, I'd like to take you to the Jaguar Players Trader to show you what's going on out here tonight. This is a little screen down action taking place for Detroit. And this man, Rip Hamilton, loves to come off the screen and get to that foul line corner area. The key is, will Yao Ming step up to help? If he steps up to help, his man has to step back. Here's Hamilton with the curl move. Yao decides to step up and help, and the ball goes right back where he came from to the big man, Ben Wallace, who finishes it and went to the foul line.
Stevie's so enthusiastic about his player straighter. Is that what he said?
The Jaguar player
Jaguar
straighter.
player
So to say.
So to say. Rockets have hit only 2 of 10 from the field, and they're trailing the Pistons 12-4 as we approach the midway point of this opening quarter. McGrady having difficulty getting shots off against the very long Tayshaun Prince, but kept alive by Maurice Taylor, and it will count. A goaltend is called. That was batted away, and the Rockets will get credit for the field goal.
See if the ball is touched when it's up on the rim or the backboard area. There it is on the rim, and that's where they felt that Ben Wallace had gone up and either touched the backboard or hit the backboard and called the defensive interference on it.
Apparently they gave Maurice Taylor credit for that field goal off the Piston turnover. Ward setting it up.
Kind of love that as a player when somebody knocks it in and they just give you the bucket. Thank you very much.
Facing the double. Ward passed on a 3. Shot clock running down. Oh, a little teardrop by Charlie Ward, who played in New York for Jeff Van Gundy. Ward, former New York Knick, spent 9.5 years with the Knicks. Sent to San Antonio and played sparingly last year with the Spurs. And here he is, at the moment, the starting point guard for Houston.
I think he may have learned that shot from Tony Parker last year. That's a shot Parker uses pretty frequently. It's a beautiful shot here. When you're a good three-point shooter like Charlie Ward is, the defense has to close out hard. If you can put it on the floor 1 or 2 times and float that thing up before the big guys can get there, that's a pretty lethal weapon. Beautiful shot by Ward.
And it's a great example of one of those things I mentioned earlier. Team speed, one concern for Houston, and the ability to put it on the floor and break down defenses when they run at you.
Strong move by McGrady, but lost the grip, and then the foul, a reach-in on Tracy. We were talking a moment ago about Charlie Ward. Well, Jeff Van Gundy with 3 former Knick players on the roster, plus former assistants, Tom Thibodeau, Steve Clifford, Andy Greer, Patrick Ewing, and he has Dikembe Mutombo, Charlie Ward, and Clarence Weatherspoon, all former Knicks.
Do you describe that as loyal or incestuous? I'm not quite sure.
Here is Hamilton, rebounded by Yao. That is an interesting way of putting it.
Well, one way of thinking about it.
And the ball back to Detroit. Of course, Larry Brown has the Tar Heel connection going on his bench. Assistant coaches Phil Ford, Dave Hanners, Pat Sullivan. He also has Gar Hurd, who once was in the state of North Carolina. He visited.
Of course, he's got Rasheed Wallace as well. He's the only player on the team who was at Carolina. And Larry told us before the game, I love to have a Carolina guy on my roster because I know he will at least look at me. Nobody else will pay any attention, but the Carolina guy will.
And there's Gar Hurd sitting next to Larry Brown.
When did Gar visit North Carolina, Mark?
Gar, former head coach, assistant coach in the NBA, played 11 years of NBA basketball. Foul on McGrady, that's his second. He takes a seat.
Actually, 2 or 3 of those assistants were assistants under Bill Guthridge when Guthridge took over for Dean Smith, if you remember, back in the Carolina days.
McGrady replaced by Bojan Nakbar, 3-year man from Slovenia, first-round draft pick 3 years ago, who comes off an up-and-down preseason, shot only 37%. Some pressure by the Pistons. Yao is stripped. Nice play by Rasheed Wallace. And Detroit on the run. Phillips changed his spot. Oh, nice play. And Prince is fouled. It was hammered by Taylor.
Well, we asked Jeff Van Gundy, what's your setup going to be versus Detroit's pressure defense? How are you going to approach it? And he said, we're going to be in the attack mode. We've got to get it past that front line of defense and then go at them. And you see him trying to attack right there, but it leads to a steal turnover, and then the Pistons come right back in their own attack mode, going at the rim.
I think the problem going against Detroit when you attack is their front line is so quick. against most teams, I think that's a dunk for Yao Ming. Against Detroit, you've got both Ben Wallace and Rasheed Wallace back there to either block shots or poke the ball away like that one.
Steve, let's face it, we've already seen the starting point guard throw one ball across the court out of bounds and dribble another one out of bounds on the sideline. A key player that's missing tonight for Jeff Van Gundy and Houston is Bobby Serra, who had that disc surgery and is not expected to be back and allowed to practice until middle of December. He probably would have started at the point guard spot.
I think he will probably eventually become the point guard, but we talked about it a little bit in the pregame show. This team is rather depleted. The result of the McGrady trade was that they lost several key players, and I don't think this roster is set yet. I think they need to add some pieces.
Oh, step back jumper by Jim Jackson. Speaking of the pregame show, Charles and Kenny questioned why Jeff Van Gundy doesn't change his style and push the Rockets to run. Is that really possible? This is not a team that possesses speed. Hamilton able to get inside. The Pistons now lead 18-10.
Yeah, I tend to disagree with Kenny and Charles on that statement, because it's not like Jeff Van Gundy doesn't want to run. It's just that he has to understand in 82 games, he needs his key guys. Yao and Tracy are going to be on the floor a lot of minutes as Jackson shoots the jumper, but not allowed. Offensive foul called on Yao Ming, setting the illegal screen. But going back to it, Jeff understands he has to have his two stars on the floor 44 minutes a night. You can't run up and down with a lack of depth, a lack of speed and quickness, a lack of athleticism, and the ability to put the ball on the floor and turn it into a fast break team. You just can't say, hey, I want a fast break, because it's the thing to do. You play to the talent of your players.
I think we're going to a commercial break. That's it, Zog. A moment ago, we were talking about the amazing wingspan of Tayshaun Prince, and he came up with what fans here in Detroit consider the defensive play of the season last year.
Probably the most memorable defensive player of the entire postseason. Remember, Indiana won game 1 of this series. This happened in game 2. Indiana with a late lead, and Prince coming out of nowhere using that wingspan, making a tremendous play. And that was, remember, the game that Rasheed Wallace guaranteed the Pistons would win.
That was game 2 of last season's Eastern Conference Final Series. Pistons went on to win that game 72-67 and eventually took the series. Pistons with an 18-10 lead, 3 minutes remaining in this opening quarter. Marv Albert, Steve Kerr, the czar, Mike Fratello, and Greg Sager. Foul on the Rockets. They are over the limit. It's on Jackson. And now Dikembe Mutombo will come on for Yao Ming, who has been quiet. Yao playing with a partial tear in his left elbow, as we touched on earlier. Sat out the final preseason game. Says it feels sore, but he's playing through it.
And he borrowed Barry Bonds' elbow pad, I think.
Yes.
Mark, with all the hoopla and excitement around it tonight, ring ceremony, going back to the block shot right there against Indiana. Remember, in the round before that, the Eastern Conference semifinals, after winning the first 2 games, Detroit, they then dropped the next 3 and were down 3-2 back at New Jersey before capturing game number 6, coming home and winning game number 7. So sometimes you forget that they had a couple scares along the way.
They did, and those were bigger scares than they faced in the finals. Really, they dominated LA the whole way.
Crowd reacts as Antonio McDyess makes his Detroit Piston debut, replacing Rasheed Wallace. McDyess playing Maurice Taylor. Here's Mutombo, and he draws the foul.
Or that's a shot that I think Maurice Taylor and Juwan Howard, when he enters the game, they have to make that shot this year. There's going to be so much emphasis on Tracy McGrady and Yao Ming. Got to get some shooting from somewhere. Both those guys capable of knocking down that shot.
Jeff Van Gundy really loves Dikembe Mutombo. He loves his professionalism. This guy is about winning. Very serious. He understands when they're doing things right in practice and when they're not doing it right in practice, when they have to do it over again to make sure it gets straight. He is very, very impressed with Dikembe.
Dikembe acquired from the Chicago Bulls. The Rockets, his 5th team the last 5 years. He spent a good portion of last year with the Knicks, preceded by a year with the Nets. So he has made the rounds as of late. Teron Lue, who just checked in, is now defending on Chauncey Billups. That's Nottbaugh playing Prince. Hamilton comes off the screen. And here is Billups for three. Rebounded by Jackson. Tumbo sets the pick for Lue. Nottbaugh for three. Yes.
Would you say that it's a tendency for teams against Detroit to settle for jump shots and getting away from the mentality of taking the ball to the rim? Therefore, you wind up shooting low 30% against this team.
No question. Teams are scared to death of the Wallaces because they're such great shot blockers. Detroit, the #1 shot blocking team in the league a year ago.
Shot clock is down to 4. Hamilton. And back come the Rockets. Ron Lue now working the point. Lue and Jackson in the backcourt. Nottbaugh with Mutombo and Taylor up front. Mutombo working on Wallace, goes to the jump hook and hits.
Determined to get the ball down low against Wallace, understanding that if you saddle in at the dribble or two to the middle, then Ben Wallace can't get his legs underneath him to jump and try and block the shot. And they're much taller, both centers, than Ben Wallace.
Phillips with a quick release. And Ben Wallace able to chase it down. They get the new shot clock. Just under a minute left in this first quarter. Here's Prince putting loose on Nottbaugh, and Nottbaugh draws the offensive foul, and Jeff Van Gundy applauding that move by Nottbaugh.
Oh, this is a big play by Nottbaugh. First he knocks down the three, then he comes back and watch him slide his feet and take the contact from Prince. Great defensive effort. And any minutes that Jeff Van Gundy can get out of Nottbaugh or Ryan Bowen are huge because there is very little depth behind McGrady and Jimmy Jackson.
Bojan Nottbaugh from Slovenia. In fact, Jeff Van Gundy said he's searching for the Slovenian word for defense. Here is Jackson for three. The rookie from Argentina, Carlos Delfino, has come on for the first time for Detroit. That's Delfino with it, played by Nottbaugh. Hamilton, good ball movement. Phillips, nice move on Mutombo to protect the ball, but could not score. 0 for 1, says Van Gundy.
Detroit has gone cold here, but I think Larry Brown's got to be pretty happy with the way they're playing offensively. They're really moving the ball well.
Final seconds of the first. Lue gets the step on Ben Wallace and goes glass with 2 seconds to go in this first quarter. Delay of game violation called.
You know, Detroit had a foul to give that time as he turned the corner. They could have taken the foul, and then Houston would have had to take it back out on the side. They elected not to do it. Instead, they scored.
So the Rockets end the first quarter on an 8-0 run. They got off to the bad shooting start, able to make the turn to get back into it, down by 1. Welcome back to the Motor City as you look at the Palace of Auburn Hills. Tonight's aerial coverage presented in high definition where available, brought to you by Phillips. And indoors, better than 22,000 on hand. Now, last season, Pistons averaged just under 22 to lead the NBA in home attendance. McDyess called for that foul. It's a quick 2 on Antonio McDyess as this second quarter gets underway. Now the Rockets opened up hitting only 2 of their first 12. They hit 6 of their last 8 to move within 1 point. Detroit started out 5 for 10 in the first quarter, and they have managed to convert only 1 of their last 8 shots. And the whistles are going here in the early moments of this second quarter. Another foul on the Pistons. It is on Hamilton, his first.
At the end of the first quarter, you know, we had talked early on about the great depth that the Pistons have and lack of depth for Houston, yet it's the Houston bench that got them into this game again, outscoring Detroit's bench 8-0.
Juwan Howard has come on for the first time. It's Howard with the ball for the Rockets. Now Jackson backs his way on Hamilton. Rebounded by Lindsey Hunter. So Hunter in the backcourt with Delfino. Eldon Campbell is checked in for the first time. And as McDyess looks to make a move, a foul is called. It is on the Rockets. It is on Lou.
Cannot impede the progress of a player as the offensive man, Hunter, was cutting through. Lou tried to put his body in front of him, body check him. That's a foul.
Tracy McGrady is back, departed in the first quarter after picking up a second foul. He replaces Jim Jackson and an offensive foul. So Detroit is it right back. Houston back in possession. Campbell called on the foul.
And that's the other side of it. The defensive player had established his position, and Campbell tried to run through his chest to set a screen down. That's an offensive foul.
Pistons very quickly have collected 3 team fouls.
Which is huge because Houston is not a team that gets to the line very often.
McGrady putting moves on Delfino. Crowd wanted a double dribble. Here's Howard. Hamilton try to pull up. Minute and a half gone by in the second quarter. It is opening night in the NBA. It's the Pistons and the Rockets. And the Pistons have gone cold.
Notice how many turnaround back to the basket. There's a face-up jumper by Tracy McGrady. I was about to say, watch how many back to the basket jump shots Houston winds up taking. And that's because either your post man's not in there where you can play off of him, or there's no dribble penetration where you kick to an open shooter. They're trying to create shots with the defender playing and backing the man down.
McGrady took the hit from Delfino, who is a very aggressive defender.
And I think Jeff Van Gundy would love to see Tracy McGrady do just that a little bit more often. He's a lot more of a jump shooter than people think. You know, they know about his athleticism, but he only went to the line about 7 times a game last year, which is not a lot for a superstar player. I think Jeff would love to see him get down on the block, draw some fouls, get to the rim.
Darvin Ham has come on for the first time, replacing Richard Hamilton. And now Ham defending on McGrady. Tracy McGrady not able to find the range. 1 of 6 from the field. It'll be Rocket ball, last touched by the Pistons.
Harvey, you know, McGrady just drew the 4th team foul with 10 minutes to go in the quarter. He's got Ham on him. Why not go back to the rim, get yourself to the line? I just don't like the fact that he's settling too often for those perimeter jump shots.
And that was certainly the case last season with Orlando.
You know what Jeff Van Gundy did? He went back to the 2003 playoffs when Orlando actually led the Pistons 3 games to 1, and Tracy McGrady was arguably the best player in the NBA for that series. They wound up losing that series at 4 games to 3, and there's the follow-up by Mutombo. But he showed the videotapes to McGrady to show him how aggressive he was in taking the ball to the basket, not strictly as a jump shooter.
Rockets have taken a 1-point lead. They lead for the first time. McDyess coming up short. That might have been deflected and last touched by the Pistons.
You know, caught up in the hoopla of ring night. You know, sometimes you forget this Detroit team had some offensive weaknesses a year ago. Number 24 in the NBA in points scored, only 19th in field goal percentage. So this is a club that will have some dry spells. They've got to defend and create turnovers to get some offense going.
Crowd trying to get the Pistons going. Neither club has shot well in this first half. McGrady taking to the rim, but he came up short. And here's Hunter on the run. And then pulls it back. Campbell trying to post up. Spinning his way on Mutombo. And Dikembe's done a nice job in this first half.
He still is a factor. He certainly is in changing and blocking shots.
A timeout taken with 8.5 remaining in this first half.
Well, we think about Mutombo at the defensive end of the floor, but right now he's 2 for 2 in this game by following up, pick back up, be at the right spot at the right time.
Opening night ceremonies, the Detroit Pistons players and coaches received their World Championship rings, and so did one lucky fan. With me, Dave Muring, whose name was drawn out of more than 25,000 entries by Pistons captain Ben Wallace. And congratulations, but what was your reaction when you came home from work as a Detroit firefighter and you had Ben Wallace on the phone?
I was so excited. First I thought it wasn't true, and then I got another call from the Pistons that it wasn't a hoax. That was Ben, so.
The Pistons led the league in attendance last year. Steve Kerr talked a little bit earlier about civic pride, what it means. We know what it means for the teams to win a championship. What does it mean for you as a fan and for the city?
I think it's great that the Pistons are a part of the city and that the fans support them so much. It's just it's a great thing.
Are you going to treat this like they do the Stanley Cup and pass it around, let your wife Mary Ellen wear it, and maybe your two daughters take it to school or wear it sometimes?
Let them see it. They're not going to wear it around, but let them hold it.
Are you a big Pistons fan?
Yes.
As a Detroit firefighter, we know how hard you work. This team often says they're the hardest working team in pro sports. What do you like about this Pistons team?
Just that fact that they're the hardest working team in pro sports. Fans love them. It's great.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, Craig. Dave Muring, a Detroit firefighter, winning the drawing for the Pistons championship ring.
How do you think Charles Barkley feels? He still does not have a championship ring, but Dave Muring does.
Pistons have taken a 21-20 lead with their first points in just about 7 minutes of play. And once again, a teardrop, this time Tyronn Lue. So we saw Charlie Ward earlier, and now Lue, and the Rockets lead 22-21. 7.5 remaining first half. McDyess off the head fake. Foul is called. It is on Juwan Howard. Antonio McDyess, who was signed as a free agent from Phoenix Suns. Knicks had traded him to the Suns in the deal for Stephon Marbury. Antonio played in a total of only 52 games the past 3 years because of 3 knee operations. Reminder, get an inside look at an NBA training camp. Tune in Fridays at 6:30 p.m. for real training camp. New Orleans Hornets. Only on NBA TV. Kept alive now by Carter, and he's run into by Nakbar. So Nakbar on the foul, and the Rockets with their 3rd team foul.
You look over, you see Jeff Van Gundy's face, and those are the kinds of things that it's very difficult to deal with. You get a missed free throw attempt, you're supposed to block out, make sure each man is covered along the lane, that a long rebound comes and have a second shot opportunity.
Lewis called for the foul.
Mark, talking about McDyess, people forget he actually played about 15, 17 games for Phoenix at the end of the year last season and was very effective. He was returning to form, and I think Joe Dumars paid close attention because he gave him a pretty lucrative contract. If he can find his offensive game again, he could be a huge steal, really, for the Detroit Pistons.
Well, this is a player who once averaged 21 points, 12 rebounds with Denver. Hunter for 3. We're not going to see that from Antonio McDyess. However, as Delfino fires from downtown, Joe Dumars does feel that he can get enough from McDyess coming off the bench to make that contract worthwhile. Delfino with a bad pass. Lue now met by Ham. Game is tied at 22. First of our TNT doubleheader here on opening night with the Nuggets and the Lakers to follow. That's a 3 for Nakbar.
That's what I was talking about before. How many times have you seen a player catch it facing the basket, make an open shot? That was a result of the double team on McGrady and then 2 passes out of the double team.
Yao Ming getting set to check back in. Some room for Lindsey Hunter.
What's that, 4th, 5th offensive rebound now for Detroit? Long rebounds are hurting Houston.
They're shooting just 26% from the field. Loose ball foul on McDyess. Oh, and he kicks it into the crowd. That'll be a technical. Antonio McDyess, upset with himself, booted it. And And a technical foul on McDyess. And did he toss him?
He gave a hand signal like he had tossed him out of the game.
Zach Zarba definitely made the motion like he was kicking him out of the game. Let's take a look. Yes, he pushed off. You see Zarba right there in the background. He makes the motion.
And that is automatic ejection. Kicking the ball into the stands. So Antonio McDyess is through for the night.
The NBA on TNT, brought to you by Heineken. It's all about the beer, Heineken. And by Philips. Experience TV in a whole new light. The new Philips Flat TV with Ambilight.
I will be the first to set foot on the field, and I will be the last to step off.
See Mel Gibson 3 nights in a row in the network television premiere of We Were Soldiers, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night, starting Friday night at 9 on TNT.
What we saw a moment ago is extremely unusual for Antonio McDyess, upset about a foul call and then kicked the ball into the stands. That is now ruled automatic ejection, technical foul. You see Tracy McGrady hit the tee. For more on that call, let's check in with Craig.
Well, Scott Foster, who ejected Antonio McDyess, immediately came over to the scorer's table, explained it. He said, listen, he is gone. That was unsportsmanlike. It delays the game. In this case, he is not only getting a technical foul, but he's gone. Send him to the locker room.
All right, Rockets have taken a 26-22 lead. Detroit has shot only 1 of 9 from the field in the second quarter. They're just 2 for the last 17. Shot clock is down to 2, down to 1. Nockbar's had the hot hand, and Postgame Nockbar has hit 3 of 3 from the field. He has 8 points.
How about the contribution of this bench? 7 for 9 now for the Rockets bench. That's all we talked about, was they don't have anybody coming off that bench.
Open shot for Ben Wallace. Ben Wallace, the one Piston hitting his shots. He's 3 of 3 from the field.
I'd say it was a pretty good decision by Jeff Van Gundy today. He had to decide who was the first guy going to be off the bench up front. Was it Nockbar? Was it Padgett? Was it Bowen? He decided Nockbar was the guy.
And that's an offensive foul. Basket will not count. Tracy McGrady having a rough time. That's his 3rd foul in his 14 minutes. McGrady just 1 of 8 from the field.
And this is one of the key things that Van Gundy's concerned about. He cannot get his 2 stars in foul trouble. That time, McGrady running over the defensive player, Ham, who had established position. He needs McGrady, and he needs Yao Ming on the floor, probably 44 to 45 minutes.
Rockets now have Yao with Howard at Nockbar, Lou and Jackson at the guards. Just under 5 minutes remaining in this first half. Marv Albert, the Czar, Mike Fratello, Steve Kerr, Craig Sager at the Palace of Auburn Hills. Good job by Yao on Ben Wallace, but able to take it to the rim. Tayshaun Prince with that quick first step.
Larry Brown loves that. He's been imploring his young player to become more aggressive the last couple of years. That was certainly an aggressive move.
Here's Yao Ming called for an offensive foul. So once again, the basket will not count.
I like what Houston's trying to do now. They've been 1 foul from the penalty for the last 6 minutes. We saw McGrady a second ago go to the rim. Now Yao Ming trying to get physical, but they just have not been able to get to the line this whole quarter.
You saw Jeff Van Gundy putting his hands down, like calm down, slow down. He doesn't want the team to get frustrated because of a couple calls going against him.
That was the second on Yao. Well, the jump shooting Ben Wallace does it again. Make it 4 of 4 from the field.
3 of them from outside, too. Who is this guy?
And that will lead to a Houston timeout. 3:45 to play. First half, the game is tied at 28.
knowing your teammates, reading what's going on. Wallace steps back, has an open look. He feels it right now.
I think people who say I was one-dimensional was those people who that never really gave Ben Wallace the opportunity to go out and play basketball, try to make me into a specialist. And you know, Coach Brown came in and he encouraged me to go out there and bring the same type of energy on the offensive end that I have on the defensive end, and you know, not just be out there and not read all the papers and read what everybody says about you, but go out there and be a basketball player.
Well, Ben doing it from all angles. 4 for 4 from the field, 9 points in all 3, as you mentioned, Steve, were jump shots. And this is a guy who missed the first 4 games of preseason, recovering from an appendectomy, and he's come back strong, and he's shown the touch here tonight.
Well, thank God for Detroit. The rest of the team shooting 6 for 26.
Nice play. Ben Wallace with the pass for Rasheed Wallace, and Detroit has taken a 2-point lead.
Now he's wheeling and dealing as the drag man on the fast break. First jump shots, now he's dishing it off.
8-0 run by the Pistons. Yao Ming getting inside. There is nothing that Ben Wallace could do when Yao gets that kind of position.
He's got a huge size advantage on him. People forget Ben Wallace is really only about 6'8". Yao Ming going about 7'6".
Game tied at 30, just under 3 to go. First half, Rasheed Wallace is fouled in the act. And that also puts Houston over the foul limit.
Get a look at that playmaking ability of Ben Wallace. He's trying to make a decision. Should I shoot it? No, I'll just wrap it around Yao and have Wallace finish it off. And that's Rasheed Wallace with the finish.
You know, Nelly kind of invented that point forward position. I think maybe Larry Brown is turning Ben Wallace into a point center.
Coining yet another new phrase.
You know, talking about Larry Brown, think about the stretch of coaching that this man has gone through, leading the team to the NBA Finals, a championship a year ago, but then has to go right on in and coach the United States Olympic team through that long stretch, and now right back again. Here he is in the battle, starting all over again, seeking another championship. It's a lot of days of practices and a lot of months of being very involved with basketball.
And what an extraordinary an NBA championship. Remember, he led Kansas to the title back in 1988. This is 26th year of coaching in the professional ranks. We're talking NBA and ABA. Charlie Ward is back, shoots the 3. And here comes Billups. Delivers to Hamilton. Prince for 3. Pistons lead 32-30, 2.5 remaining in this first half. Ron Howard posting. Jackson gets it right back to him. Howard is stopped by Wallace. He's tied up. Beautiful play by Rasheed Wallace.
I'll go back to Larry Brown for 1 second, Mark. We asked him prior to the game any regrets about, tonight. He said, yeah, the one regret I have is that 2 of his assistant coaches last year, Mike Woodson, now the head coach in Atlanta, and his brother Herb, could not be here, along with those couple of players that were part of the team a year ago that couldn't be here tonight. He wished that they could all be here to receive their rings with the rest of the team.
Well, the Meadow Core, Mike James, Forrest Williamson, and the coaches you mentioned will eventually, when their teams come here to Detroit, be presented with the championship rings.
Not quite the same, though, to miss out on a night like tonight.
Steve Wallace gets it down low, and Jackson and Howard converging on Ben Wallace. Jackson called for the foul. That's his second. So the foul rundown for Houston. McGrady has 3. He's sitting down. 2 apiece on Yao, Jackson, and Taylor. Ben Wallace. Ben actually hit a free throw earlier. Coming up on the Verizon Wireless halftime report. EJ, Charles, Kenny, Magic in the studio. They'll be chatting with Baron Davis of the New Orleans Hornets.
know, when you said that a moment ago, I kind of took it the wrong way. Ben actually hit a free throw. It's like it was a surprise or something the way he's shooting tonight.
He was a 49% free throw shooter last year, Zahn, and that was a career high.
Just didn't sound right to me, that's all.
I see. Both teams are over the foul limit. Here comes Eldon Campbell.
This is really amazing. We talked about it earlier, but Houston had drawn 4 fouls with 10 minutes left in the quarter. We thought this could be a big free throw shooting quarter for them. They've only gone to the line 3 times. This is number 4 and 5. So the Rockets were really unable to take advantage of that Detroit foul trouble.
But to get free throws, you either have to have post-up guys taking it to the basket, or guys, as you know, taking it off the dribble, fighting through the defense, getting hit on the arms, that type of thing, or get transition opportunities where you foul, and they haven't had any of those.
Detroit now at 34% from the field, 11 of 32. Houston, 37%. They've hit just 13 of 35. And a foul is called as Ben Wallace was submarine off that lead pass, and Yao Ming can't believe it as he's called for his third.
The ball is up in the air. Yao thinks he's just standing there minding his own business, and instead you see him move underneath. A good call by the official. Moves underneath Ben Wallace and Alex. 3 fouls on McGrady, 3 fouls on Yao Ming. Combined, those two only 7 points in this first half.
I don't know. I kind of beg to differ on that call. That was a little questionable. He just slid over. The ball was in midair. I didn't think he exactly got underneath him, but, you know, if you feel that way, Mike, we'll go with it.
Well, you being the defensive stopper that you always were, having the quick feet, I understand how you can see it that way.
Touche.
Ben Wallace now 2 of 5 at the line. Minute and a half to play in this first half. Mutombo, and he is stripped. The ball knocked out of bounds by Ben Wallace. Terrific play by Wallace.
Plus, you know, Steve, we always had in our scouting reports, don't throw any lob passes if Steve Kerr is around.
You know I'm coming from the weak side.
He keeps coming at you, though.
Yeah, you see Ben Wallace come over. Ben thinks that he's avoided the first 2 white jerseys, and instead, the third one, Ben Wallace gets him from behind.
So the Pistons with a 33-32 lead, 22nd timeout.
Mark, we talked about the 1-2 combination of Yao and McGrady. Right now, they are combined 3 for 13. Houston's bench, ironically enough, keeping them in the game. First, Ostjan Nakbar knocking down the 3. He's 3 for 3 from the floor. Teron Lue with the runner, 2 for 2. And how about Dikembe Mutombo shooting that old trusty jump hook, 2 for 3 as well. So Houston's bench really coming up big.
Although sometimes it is not necessarily a positive when Dikembe hits that first shot because it encourages him to continue going to the arsenal.
He truly believes he could be an offensive star in this league. Still.
Shot clock is at 9. Jackson. Able to hit despite the double team. Jim Jackson with his second field goal. He has 4 points. Rockets lead 34-33. Hamilton is fouled by Jackson. Basket will not count. Both teams are over the foul limit, so Hamilton to the free throw line. Richard Hamilton, who averaged 17.5 points in the regular season, then better than 21 points a game in the playoffs. Last season, a career year for the 6-year man out of UConn.
Huge disparity at the foul line here tonight. These will be the 16th and 17th free throw attempts of the night for Detroit, just 5 for Houston. So Detroit can't make a shot, but at least they're getting to the line.
Jackson will sit down. Lue is back.
know, Steve, you mentioned about Mutombo and his offensive mindedness. That goes back to those Denver days. You have to remember, you know, his first season in Denver, he had almost 900 field goal attempts and shot 500 free throws. So it was back then that they created this offensive monster.
Akbar forced to handle the ball and able to get it across midcourt. Lou. And Ben Wallace with the lead. Here comes Prince. Akbar got a piece of it and a foul.
Offensive monster. I like that. I mean, he's about 46 years old now, isn't he? I mean, he's got to remember. That was a long time ago in Denver.
Still effective at protecting the front of the rim, though. And we saw a second ago Detroit changing ends, the defensive end to the offensive end, and that's the speed and quickness and athleticism that you need to take advantage of fast break opportunities to be able to outnumber the transition defense getting back.
Remember, they were doing that at will in the playoffs with Lindsey Hunter and Mike James coming off the bench to force turnovers. And tonight, just 4 fast break points so far for Detroit. So they haven't been able to sustain that same intense defensive pressure.
Maurice Taylor has made his return, replacing Dikembe Mutombo. Detroit only 12 of 18 out of the line. But they've gone to the line now 19 times. Houston, just 5 trips to the free throw stripe. There's pressure by the Pistons. Again, Akbar forced to handle it. Lou moves it across. Jeff Van Gundy looking for a foul. Here's Lou penetrating, scooping it to Taylor. Nice play.
Great save that time by Lou, because he was having such a problem just getting to the spot on the floor that Van Gundy wanted him to get to start the offense. He got in the lane, he made the dish, then a nice catch and finish.
And on top of that, they score with 34 seconds left, meaning they'll probably get the last possession of the half here.
Eldon Campbell. And a foul against the Rockets. It's on Taylor. He's called for putting his knee into the back of Campbell, who will shoot 2.
This will now make it a 21-5 discrepancy at the free throw line in favor of Detroit.
There's Eldon Campbell, 69% free throw shooter last year. After not playing much in the regular season, received extended minutes in the NBA Finals against Shaquille O'Neal.
Very professional effort by Campbell. He was forgotten for a long time, but stayed in shape and was ready when they needed him, and he came up big against Shaq.
But do you think that the loss of Okoro allowed them to keep Campbell? Because he might have been gone if they had kept Okoro and still went out and got McDyess.
Could be. And then, of course, they had Coleman, too. And as Larry Brown told us today, he said guys are calling him from all over the league saying, we don't have any big men, you have 6.
Terrence Weatherspoon has come on for the first time. Houston with 4 starters playing with 3 fouls. Final seconds of the first half. Johnny Ward working the clock down, look to draw the foul, and scores! It's a 3-pointer. He was looking for a foul, 0.8 of a second remaining. Now they say a 2-pointer, had a foot on the line. Here's Phillips. That was pretty close. Ward almost made contact with Phillips.
Well, he tries to draw the foul. Nice pump fake here, getting Ben Wallace off his feet. Leans in, and yes, he's on the line. Gets it to go. He wanted the foul, too.
All right, let's go to Craig Sager with Boskan Akbar.
Well, Jeff Van Gundy just walked by. I don't think this is how he plans to build the team with Yao Ming and Tracy McGrady, 3 of 13, but he complimented you on stepping through with 3 for 3. Tell us about your role offensively.
Yeah, you know, I saw the guys that were struggling a little bit, so, you know, I tried to help out with making some, you know, shots from outside, and, you know, I just hope that Tracy and Yao are going to be able to step up in the second half because we need them.
Well, Tracy's already in foul trouble. Do you think that will help your playing time in the second half?
Yeah, well, I bet he's been in foul trouble before, so I don't think it's a problem for him. He's gonna come out. I think he's gonna be aggressive. You know, we got the lead, and I hope we win the game. So, you know, so far so good.
All right, Akbar leading the Houston Rockets with 9 points, 3 for 3 from the field. Now let's go to Ernie Johnson in our studios in Atlanta.
Thank you, Craig. Safe to say, I think if Nockbar continues to lead the Rockets in scoring, this one might go in the L column. It is 38-37.
You're a tough year if Nockbar they lead score.
The Rockets leading the Pistons. This is the Verizon Wireless halftime report. Ernie Johnson, Hall of Famer Magic Johnson. Yeah, Kenny Smith had Charles Barkley, and also one of the highlights of the first half, a missed 36-yard field goal by Antonio McDyess. You have pictures of the first half.
Before you go to pictures, can I just say something?
Sure.
Antonio, you're not with a losing organization any longer.
Quit kicking the ball in the stands.
Exactly. You with a championship team. You got to play on a championship level. Kenny, I'm sorry.
I like that.
I was just upset. You gotta adjust to the organization and the team that you're on now.
This string is annoying me.
Okay,
I don't want to.
Eventually, you're going to get around to what you want to say here.
I know that.
I'm with you.
You know when somebody wears a cheap suit, you pull that one string, they'll be naked and like.
while he's doing his highlight, while he's doing his highlight, you pull his string.
Pull my string, see what happens. Anyway. I'm glad that I'm glad that Mike listens to us, because Mike Fratello, he's listening to us, he and Steve, and they didn't agree with the fact that the Rockets should play up tempo.
But they were wrong.
But I think so, because Jeff likes coaching slow down basketball. Last year he had Steve Francis, Cantino Mobley. They walked the ball up court. This year, it doesn't matter. Same guys. But what happens is when you have guys who walk it up all the time, when all of a sudden you got kind of a fast break, this is like a secondary break, you don't know how to react. You just lose the ball. Okay, Charlie Wall, you might say, has no legs, no gas in the tank. But here's Tracy McGrady. He's in the home run trot. Dikembe's running. He's open. No, but we're just slowing it up. We're going to play half-court basketball, take a long jump shot. You're 25 years old. You're 24 years old. You got to get out. Yao Ming can run. He can hit spot-up jump shots, trailer shots, meaning guys coming in late in the play, give him the ball. He can hit those free throw jump shots. You got to run the ball.
And it gets worse with that second group. That second group has got to run.
We got to split here because we have.
And they got to get somebody younger than 52 playing the point.
We have Baron Davis who's going to join us after the break.
Look at that.
There's Charlie Ward the same age as me.
My little brother, B. Diddy.
We'll talk about what Baron's been doing on Election Day coming up next.
That's my boy.
I pulled the string too, sir.
The Halftime Report is brought to you by Verizon Wireless, the official wireless provider of the NBA.
Can you hear me now? Good.
Opening night, election night.
30 candidates.
Who's your favorite? A new running mate. I can taste it. So can I.
This is our year
to get it back.
One ring is not enough.
It's our title. If you want it, try to come and take it.
Play with the motion. I'm not a rookie anymore.
Last year was just the beginning. Who has your vote?
Let the debate begin.
The world is watching.
Tonight on TNT. Don't say I didn't warn you.
Well, the New Orleans Hornets, Baron Davis, has done more than just talk about the election. He has been out there pounding the pavement and trying to get folks to vote, and working with Voices for Working Families, Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law, and Baron Davis joins us on this election day from Louisiana. New Orleans opens tomorrow night against the Dallas Mavericks. Baron, how'd you get involved in this?
It just came to me.
And that's a fine. Is that your phone?
No, that was not my phone.
Okay.
It was somebody else's. Once I found out that Louisiana has the second largest populated community of African Americans, and less than 50% were actually voting, then I became a huge advocate to get people out there and let our voices be heard.
B, this is Irvin. One thing about you that has always impressed me, you've always been a person who wanted to get involved, whether it's in Los Angeles or now in New Orleans. Why? Why are you stepping forward and doing it? Because a lot of young men, and especially a lot of athletes, do not do things like this.
Well, obviously growing up watching you and you being one of my role models, and I just kind of following your path, but just knowing that it's not about me, it's about everybody that comes after me, and I can pave the way for a lot of kids that come up in the same situation that I did and help them become more successful. That's why I do it.
Baron, you guys have had an interesting offseason. You moved to the Western Conference, got a new head coach in Byron Scott. How's the training camp, and how forward are you looking forward to the season?
I'm looking forward to the season. I can't wait, man. That training camp was probably the toughest training camp I've obviously ever been through. You know, we did a lot. We're in shape. I think that we're going to surprise a lot of people this year.
Well, Baron, this is Kenny. We know that you've gotten involved with the voting. You also got involved with a lot of commentary about leaving the Hornets. Now, what's your situation there, and how happy are you now that the season is starting?
I'm very happy.
And you're still a Hornet.
And I'm still a Hornet. You know, I can't do anything about that. I can't change anything about that. I accept it. Now that, you know, the season is starting and being in training camp with my teammates and my coach, I mean, I'm very, very excited to have a successful season.
Hey, BD, we've enjoyed your work on the court and off the court on this election day, too, and thanks a lot for joining us tonight.
Good job, man. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Baron Davis and the Hornets open up play tomorrow night against the Dallas Mavericks. By the way, electoral votes, latest from CNN, 170 to 112, Bush over Kerry. We'll be back.
Still early. Still early.
This copyrighted telecast of the National Basketball Association is intended solely for the entertainment of our audience, and any retransmission, reproduction, rebroadcast, or other use or dissemination of this telecast, or the pictures, descriptions, or accounts of this game without the express written consent of the National Basketball Association is prohibited.
Welcome back to the Verizon Wireless Halftime Report. Another game going on right now, not on our air, Sacramento and Dallas. And Eric Dampier, new to the mix.
There's your guy, Charles.
That's my rookie of the year, Devin Harris.
He feeds Dampier, who had 9 in the first
and my surprise
quarter.
team in the West, the Dallas Mavericks.
The Halftime Report has been brought to you by Verizon Wireless, the official wireless provider of the NBA.
When you're on top, everybody wants.
We welcome you back to the Palace of Auburn Hills on a crisp 47-degree night here in the Motor City. Marv Albert, Steve Kerr, the czar, Mike Fratello, 1-point lead at the half as the Houston Rockets, after the slow start, were able to turn around. But czar Rockets starters in foul trouble, and it's the bench that has done the job.
4 of the 5 starters with 3 personal fouls. Yao Ming, Tracy McGrady combining for just 7 points. 17-4 advantage for the bench, and they've done it with all the hustle things. Points in the paint, second chance opportunity points. That's how they've maintained it.
And Detroit shooting poorly in the first half. And you know there's something different when Ben Wallace is leading the offense 4 for 4 from the field.
Yeah, but the rest of the team 7 for 28. So Detroit's got to make a shot, obviously, but also they're not getting many fast break opportunities. Only 5 fast break points in the first half. They've got to start forcing some turnovers, getting out in the open floor.
All right, a look at tonight's Jeep game summary. Rockets 16 of 40 from the field. And that is 40% shooting, while the Pistons 11 of 32, only 34%. But the Pistons to the line 21 times, 14 of 21. Rockets with just 5 free throws. You see the bench points. Houston doing the job off the bench. Let's check in with Craig Sager. Craig?
Well, Larry Brown gathered the troops in the locker room and said, listen, congratulations on last year's World Championship. I hope you enjoyed the ring ceremony. I hope it's out of your systems right now. Shooting just 34%, down only 1. We should be very lucky. They also had a discussion with Antonio McDyess. McDyess apologized for kicking the ball in the stands. Then it was explained to him that they have defined that rule now, that if you do kick a ball into the stands, you are going to get ejected. Number 1, it is very dangerous for the fans. Number 2, it delays the game. So he's apologized, saying, you know, he'd be ejected, and they've had a very close discussion with him as well. So he's in the locker room watching second half.
All right, Craig. Tayshaun Prince has given the Pistons a 1-point lead. Rockets open up this third quarter as Tracy McGrady gets the step. Charlie Ward, Tracy McGrady in the backcourt. Yao Ming with Jim Jackson and Mo Taylor up front. While Detroit with Chauncey Billups and Rip Hamilton at the guards, Rasheed Wallace, Ben Wallace, and Tayshaun Prince on the front line. Prince challenging Yao. And back comes Jackson.
Nice play by Yao to avoid that fourth foul. Kept his hands straight up.
Tracy McGrady struggling, just 1 of 9 from the field. Here is Taylor going glass, and the Rockets have a 3-point lead.
I still don't understand how Kenny and Charles can say that Houston doesn't want a fast break. It was only 5-0 in favor of Detroit. Fast break points in the first half.
Hamilton on a catch and shoot. 9 points for Hamilton. Ben Wallace, the high man for Detroit, with 10 on his 4-for-4 shooting. Rockets do not have anyone in double figures.
Nice to see a couple guys actually make a shot here.
Here's Taylor going to the step back. Well, both teams hitting their shots here at the start of the third.
And Rasheed Wallace reminding the officials that Maurice is pushing off with that free arm to get that step back jumper, helping the officials out, saying that's twice in a row now.
Well, Rasheed does an excellent job of helping the officials out. He's magnanimous.
Here is Rasheed Wallace.
I'd say, I always felt like opening night was pretty difficult, regardless of whether it was ring night or not, because you're so anxious to get off to a good start that sometimes you get a little tentative with your shooting, you get a little anxious. Looks like both teams now starting to loosen up.
Oh, what a recovery by Ben Wallace to come up with the block on the 7-6 Yao Ming, but the Pistons give it right back.
But Yao made himself small because he took the ball and brought it back down lower.
That's impossible,
It's easy for me to say, okay? He brought it down lower, and therefore the block by Ben Wallace.
Rockets up by 1. They get it right back to Yao. He is 2 of 7, just 4 points, and playing with the 3 fouls. They double up on Hamilton. Wallace for 3. And the crowd wanted a Houston foul with the ball slapped away from Ben Wallace.
Well, you can see how important just little things are in this game. Rip Hamilton wide open off that screen, but he fumbles the ball just a little bit. Leads to a fadeaway 22-footer for Wallace. So just catching the ball and making a good pass sometimes, it's all it takes to get a good shot.
Once again, McGrady off the mark. Here's Taylor, rejected by Rasheed Wallace. Hamilton trying to find Ben Wallace, but the pass behind him.
It was the right idea. Poor execution, though. I think he had to wait just another step. Our pal Magic Johnson probably would have made that pass perfectly back in the day.
We were mentioning all night about Detroit's great defense, but let's not take too much away from the Rockets' defense, because a year ago, while Detroit was 3rd best in the league as far as defensive field goal percentage, Houston actually was better. They were 2nd in the league.
Yes, Rockets holding opponents to 41% from the field. They allowed only 88 points per game. So they were, as you mentioned, among the leaders in both departments. Jackson had a fire with the shot clock running down. Phillips, and contact from Taylor, so the foul on Taylor, and that is number 4.
How about that defensive possession by Detroit? That's how they won a championship. Defend for 24 straight seconds, force a bad shot, box out, get the rebound.
Jeff Van Gundy staying with Maurice Taylor despite the 4 fouls. Phillips lost it. Here comes Ward. He has Taylor on the wing. Ward takes all the way. Beautiful move by Charlie Ward.
This is a wide open, fast-breaking Houston Rocket team that we're seeing here. Their first 2 points in transition.
Kenny's right. They got to run.
Rockets with a 46-43 lead. Phillips passed on the 3 and hit the 2. 7 points for Chauncey Billups.
You run on the road selectively. Unless you're an overpowering team, you pick and choose your spots when to take the fast break opportunities.
Here's Yao Ming, set up by Tracy McGrady, rebounded by Ben Wallace. Billups pulls it up for 3. One-handed by Yao.
That's not Larry Brown's favorite attempt right there. He likes for Chauncey Billups to hold the ball a little bit and get it out into the offense for this team, not pull up and hoist threes.
Well, McGrady took it to the rim, but that move was stopped by just the presence of Ben Wallace. McGrady had to change the shot. Here's Rasheed Wallace. So the Pistons take a 1-point lead.
Does anybody run that curl better than Rip Hamilton? He just lives on that elbow.
Oh, they take it away. Billups stripping Ward, and he scores. Pistons put the pressure on Ward at midcourt.
Well, he picked up his dribble 1 step over the half-court line, so that acts like 2 extra defenders. The half-court line and the sideline, that's how he got himself in trouble.
Well, Chauncey Billups, not only known for his offense, but quick hands on the defense, leading to the type of easy basket that the Pistons thrive on.
The NBA on TNT, brought to you by Southwest Airlines, official airline of the NBA, and by Jeep Trail Rated capability. Don't go off-road without it.
Welcome back to the Palace of Auburn Hills. You're looking at Tracy McGrady in his debut with the Houston Rockets, and it has been a struggle in his 20 minutes, just 2 of 11 from the field.
And you see the green basketballs are his makes, and the red ones are the misses out there, and obviously more attempts closer to the basket gives you a higher field goal percentage. The other thing, all those jump shots on the outside, only 1 free throw attempt thus far for Tracy McGrady.
Detroit has reeled off 6 unanswered. They now lead by 3, just under 6 minutes to play in this third quarter. Yao had it knocked away, recovered by Taylor. He lost it. Good hands by Billups. Wallace gives it back. Here is Rasheed for 3. Box out by Yao Ming. Rockets remaining the same following the timeout. Jeff Van Gundy staying with Maurice Taylor, playing with the 4. Good entry pass from McGrady, and Yao not able to hit it. He took a shot on the head from Billups.
I know Billups had that championship belt on before the game, but he didn't have to take it literally. I mean, take a look at this. Yao Ming doing an excellent job getting position, going to the left hand. He thought he made it, gets his offensive rebound. Watch Chauncey Billups' little right jab, a la Larry Holmes.
Yao not in the act. In the process of a ball fake, so does not go to the line.
Mike, Larry Holmes was a boxer, in case you didn't know.
And Tracy McGrady able to knock it down. Steve going back several years for the boxing reference. Larry Holmes.
He was well known for that jab, Mark.
Quick release by Hamilton.
It's amazing, isn't it? This game has totally changed from the first half. Really opening up, finally a little rhythm to the offenses.
And now Yao will go to the line, fouled by Ben Wallace.
But he didn't bring the ball down that time. He kept his elbows up, turned in that time. The ball was high, so Wallace couldn't strip him.
Foul on Wallace. That's his second. Out of the line for the first time. Now look at our upcoming television schedule. ESPN, NBA TV. Wednesday on ESPN. That would be tomorrow night. It's Miami and New Jersey at 8 o'clock. And the Lakers playing at Utah. Friday on ESPN. Houston and Memphis at 8 Eastern time, followed by San Antonio and the Lakers. Saturday on NBA TV, the Kings and the Rockets at 8:30. And then Sunday on NBA TV, San Antonio and Seattle. 1 point, Rocket lead. Hamilton. Jackson got a piece of it. Darvin Ham is checked in. He's now defending on McGrady, who fires for three. Tracy McGrady from downtown.
Well, all it takes for a guy like McGrady is for one shot to go in. And he's got so much confidence that it's enough to get him rolling.
Well, he's got 13 field goal attempts. He's made just 4 as Wallace shoots the 3 and nails it.
Rockets by 1. Rasheed Wallace has 13 points, and Tracy McGrady showing some signs. He's hit 3 of 5 in this third quarter.
Let's see if they go right back to him again. Try to get him another shot while he feels it right now.
Well, they get it to McGrady, working on Ham, and has to give it up. Good play by Ham. Ward for 3. Yes! The 24-second buzzer. Charlie Ward from downtown, and the Rockets now lead 56-52, and Ward has hit 4 of 5. He has 11 points. Rockets in the midst of a 10-3 run. Here's Billups for 3. And suddenly both teams hitting their shots after a poor shooting first half.
And a bad mistake that time by Charlie Ward. He went underneath the high post man. Billups saw that. Billups stepped back behind the three-point line. Ward just couldn't recover in time.
Rockets by 1. Shot clock down to 6. Jackson for 3. Yes! It's been a three-point festival here in the third quarter. Rockets now lead 59-55. We've had a total of 5 successful three-pointers here in the third. Nice move by Hamilton, will not count. Offensive foul. Offensive foul on Rick Hamilton.
That's a huge call because that would have been Yao Ming's 4th foul. But take a look at Hamilton driving. Yao Ming coming over to help. Takes the contact with his chest. Good call by Steve Javie.
Doubleheader on TNT on opening night. The night began with the Detroit Pistons coaches and players receiving their NBA championship rings from Commissioner David Stern, who is with me right now. And I know you've been through a lot of these opening ceremonies, but what did it mean to come here in front of a crowd that led the league in attendance and have the fans so supportive?
It's you can actually feel the surge that the players get from the crowd. It's really very good, and it's great to see Bill Davidson and this team, really rewarding the fans for their support.
This was a team that won a championship not with the most star players, but by playing as a team. Any of the 5 starters could have been the MVP of the finals. What does that say for the game and where it's going?
It reminds our fans and it reminds our teams that this is the ultimate team game. Individual players don't win championships, teams do.
At one point a few years ago, a lot of people were worried about the direction the NBA was going with the young players. Now you look at Joe Dumars, who won a championship as a player, in charge of an organization, heading them in the right direction. Talk about the way some of these guys will come back to the game.
Hey, it's wonderful. Larry Bird, Isaiah Thomas, Kiki Vandeweghe, you name it, we've got our players coming back, and we love it because you got to be very smart to play this game at that high level, and it's great to see them adapting those skills to manage it.
I better put a plug in for Steve Kerr because he's the minority owner of Phoenix.
Well, I'm not ready to give him a judgment yet. He's still a rookie.
All right, thanks a lot.
Yeah, we concur with that one.
Thanks, appreciate it.
A ringing endorsement from the commissioner. And I look at Joe Dumars, president of basketball operations. John Hammond to his right. Joe had a sparkling 14-year playing career, included 2 NBA titles. Now he's built a championship team, member of the 89 and 90 Detroit Piston title teams. In fact, he was the MVP of the finals in 89. Prince pulls it back on Howard. We're down to 45 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Hamilton. Eldon Campbell has just checked in with a beautiful pass, but Hamilton came up short.
Houston with a chance at a quick 2-for-1 if they want it.
Rockets lead by 2. Here's Lou for Mutombo. Will not count. Traveling violation on Dikembe Mutombo.
Mutombo so concerned about the players flying over his head that time, took a little shuffle step in the lane, and he had a short 2 points until the whistle blew. Watch the feet now. He's getting nervous. People are flying around his head, and there's the travel taking place.
Well, with 22 seconds left, the Rockets do have a foul to give, so they can run this thing down as far as they can before fouling, trying to disrupt the flow of the Detroit offense.
Well, with all the hot shooting in that quarter, you only have a combined 3 team fouls. Rockets with 1, Pistons with 2 at this point.
At one stretch, these two teams combined for 5 straight 3-point field goals, all within a minute and 50 seconds, and that picked things up. Here's Hamilton getting the step, and he's fouled.
There's the foul to give on the outside.
Nakbar is lucky they didn't give him the continuation there.
Down to 11.5 remaining in the third. Phillips will inbound. And the Pistons hold for a final shot of the quarter. Hamilton putting the move on Jackson, able to penetrate and score. Game tied at 59. Lou had it knocked away. Oh, what a play by Phillips. So that's the end of the third, with the score tied at 59. At one stretch, both teams hitting from downtown. Tracy McGrady. Here's Rasheed Wallace for 3. The barrage continues. 5 consecutive from beyond the 3-point line.
就这样，天之骄子不得不面对自己的恐惧。
Super bad. I ain't super bad. You ain't got no game, brother. You ain't got no game, brother.
每个挑战都使得天之骄子更加明智。最终，天之骄子还要面对他最大的挑战。
Back to the Palace of Auburn Hills on opening night of the NBA. Better than 22,000 have turned out. Earlier, they raised the championship banner for the defending NBA champion Detroit Pistons. Pistons and Rockets, 59 apiece as this fourth quarter gets underway. Here's Rasheed Wallace for 3. So the 3-point barrage continues, and Detroit has picked up the shooting. They were 10 of 18 in the third, including 2 of 4 from downtown.
Drawn up during a timeout by head coach Larry Brown, knowing how Houston wants to play certain situations. And you see Juwan Howard with the little shot across the lane. They planned that, came off the high pick and roll Detroit, and threw it all the way back across the court, knowing that Houston would have a tough time covering it.
Rasheed Wallace Up front now with Eldon Campbell, Tayshaun Prince, Chauncey Billups in the backcourt with Rip Hamilton. Nice pass from Hamilton, but the rejection leading to this. Juwan Howard putting moves on Richard Hamilton, had to give it up. So Lou resets.
How about the block by Mutombo at the other end? I was waiting for the finger wag. He didn't do that.
Here's Tyronn Lue. Detroit up by 1. Prince cutting. It's broken up by Howard, but recovered by Campbell. Billups for 3. Chauncey Billups from downtown in Detroit with a 65-61 lead.
The difference in your defensive mentality. When Hamilton had the ball behind the three-point line, Jackson didn't run up at him because he's a reluctant three-point shooter. When Billups got it, you have to close out on him.
And a call away from the ball. Steve Javie calling it on the Pistons. A push on Campbell. So the Rockets get it back. Howard, Mutombo, Nockbar on the front line. Lou and Jackson in the backcourt. Lou checking with Jeff Van Gundy. Jackson using the pick. Wallace jumping out at Lou. Lou with the step. Shot clock to 4. Here's Nockbar. Rebounded by Rasheed Wallace. Hamilton, constant movement with the ball, without the ball. Prince for 3. The Pistons with their 6th three-pointer. They're 6 of 14 from beyond that three-point line. They lead by 7. The Rockets will talk it over.
Detroit, perfect execution. Lou gets out of his stance, which allows Billups to get into the heart of the defense. Then he kicks it back out to Prince, spotting up, making the extra pass, playing unselfishly, team ball.
I will be the first to set foot on the field, and I will be the last to step off.
See Mel Gibson 3 nights in a row in the network television premiere of We Were Soldiers, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night, starting Friday night at 9 on TNT.
The Detroit Pistons in the midst of a 13-2 run, and they've taken a 7-point lead on the Houston Rockets. This is their biggest lead since back in the first quarter. Both teams have done it with the three-point shot, in particular the Pistons. In fact, combined, both teams shooting better from downtown than from two-point range. Lou had it knocked away, able to recover. Rebounded by Campbell. Pistons have really picked up the tempo in the second half. Hamilton and Rasheed Wallace for 3. This one is way off. McGrady now being played by the rookie Delfino. McGrady using the screen and scores. Tracy McGrady, after the slow start with 12 points, he is 5 of 15 overall. He was only 1 of 8 in the first half.
I'm sure that Jeff Van Gundy would welcome seeing McGrady try to take over this game a little bit, assert himself a little bit more at the offensive end and make some things happen.
Here's Rasheed Wallace going right at Yao Ming.
He's so versatile. You know, you see him knock down a 3 earlier in the corner, then step in, take a dribble, and shoot the little floater. Guy can do a lot of things out there offensively.
Foul on Delfino.
Now here's the pass that just gets by Lou somehow. You see the one bounce, and that's a difficult shot over a very tall man. Rasheed, wonderful touch on that jump shot.
18 points for Rasheed Wallace. Lindsey Hunter has checked back in, as has Ben Wallace. Once Once again, Delfino defending on McGrady. McGrady gave him the head fake and draws the foul. Nice play by McGrady. Once again, it's on the rookie from Argentina, Carlos Delfino.
You see Delfino not afraid to be physical. However, the first step gets McGrady away from him as Delfino tries to recover. McGrady smart enough to get him in the air and then take the contact.
Smart play by McGrady, too. Probably understanding that he's got a rookie on him, one who's playing his first game in this country. Delfino's got to be anxious. You know he's probably going to bite on the pump fake. I think McGrady took advantage a little bit of his inexperience there.
McGrady 80% of the line last season. So the Pistons now lead by 6.
We had said earlier that point guard position a big concern for Houston this season. When Charlie Ward was in there playing solid, knocking down those threes, Houston had the lead. Lewis come in, broken down a couple times defensively. Pistons got some easy baskets as a result of it, so it turned the game around.
Here's Hunter with the shot clock rolling down. Lindsey Hunter just to beat the shot clock. Detroit up by 8. Beautiful backdoor feed by Yao Ming, and the foul is called. That'll put Jim Jackson at the line. What a pass by Yao.
These are very, very big baskets for Houston because they're keeping them close enough to give themselves a chance. That call doesn't happen if the last bucket doesn't take place for them. Detroit's not ready to blow this thing open. You see the beautiful backdoor pass. Yao understanding exactly where his teammate's going to be as he comes.
Foul on Rasheed Wallace, his third. Jim Jackson in his 13th NBA season out of Ohio State. Now here's a guy who resurrected his career and actually added to his game with his strong defensive play, three-point shooting. Last year played a career high, better than 3,000 minutes. I know that Jeff Van Gundy would like to cut that back some this season.
He would like to, but probably will wind up upping his minutes this year.
And that is called on Yao. It is number 4.
That was a tough call made by Scott Foster. Looked like Yao Ming had position, stepped over in front of Hamilton. Remember, last time he got the call, this time unable to do so. Watch him step over, keeps his hands high. Question is, were his feet set? Scott Foster said no.
Pistons to the line for the first time in the second half after going to the line 21 times in the first half. Just under 7 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter, and the Pistons now lead 74-66. And you see the pressure. Charlie Ward back, working against Lindsey Hunter.
There's the substitution I was looking for. Charlie Ward to come back in, see if he can knock down the three-point shots and get a little bit more control of the basketball from a defensive standpoint.
Shot clock down to 4. Jackson has to force. Does not make contact with the rim. It's a shot clock violation.
You know, that defensive possession really started with Lindsey Hunter's pressure in the backcourt. Took Charlie Ward a long time to get the ball over the midcourt line. As a result, Houston completely out of sync offensively.
Number 1 rule of defense, ball pressure. Apply pressure to the ball, but everything else becomes a little bit easier.
And that's the first turnover of this fourth quarter for either team. 6.5 remaining in the fourth. Rasheed Wallace from straight away for 3. Put home by Ben Wallace, who was able to get in front of Yao Ming.
Wallace snuck around the quickness of Wallace versus the size of it. Yao Ming. Wallace outquicked him, inside position, timed his jump beautifully.
Ben Wallace, the unsung hero on this Detroit team. When he gets offensive rebounds and especially put-back dunks, the Pistons feed off that, and so does this crowd.
The NBA on TNT, brought to you by the all-new Hyundai Tucson. It's perfect for whatever, whenever. By Wendy's Homestyle Chicken Strips. Another reason it's better here. By the United States Marine Corps. The few, the proud, the Marines. And by LeBron James at NikeBasketball.com.
We're back at the Palace. Quick check of the upcoming schedule on ESPN and NBA TV tomorrow night on ESPN. Miami and New Jersey at 8 o'clock. That'll be opening night for the New Jersey Nets, followed by the Lakers and Utah. Friday on ESPN, Houston at Memphis, starting 8 o'clock Eastern time, and then San Antonio and the Lakers in LA. Saturday on NBA TV, Sacramento and Houston, 8:30 start. Sunday on NBA TV, San Antonio and Seattle, starting at 8. Again, you see the pressure defense leading to the foul call. It's a holding foul. And it's on Hunter.
This game really is very familiar, really, if you watch the Pistons a year ago. You know, they just grind it out, and eventually that defensive pressure just gets to you.
Great defensive teams don't concede side out of bound play passes. A lot of teams just let you catch the ball as you take it in on the side out. Detroit does it. They challenge it and almost force a turnover.
Pistons over the foul limit. It's been a very long night for Yao Ming, who's been in foul trouble. Only 2 of 9 from the field. Now 2 of 3 at the line. So he misses both. Just 6 points, 9 rebounds for Yao, who is playing with that injured elbow. You can see the brace on the left elbow. Ben Wallace threatening to shoot from long range. He's been hitting the jumper. Instead, comes up short, but draws the foul.
Another play off the timeout, drawn up by Larry Brown. Larry Brown likes to do 2 things off the timeouts: run back doors or back pick lobs. This time they wanted to back pick on Yao after the pass by Ben. There he passes and cuts. There's the lob. Kind of like a back door by Ben Wallace from out on top.
Foul charge to McGrady, his 4th. Ben Wallace now 2 of 6 at the line. As you see, 6 for 6 from the field, and we're not only talking layups tonight. So the Pistons lead by 11 and put the pressure on again. Maurice Taylor handling. See Lindsey Hunter with his long arms reaching in, trying to deflect. Everything being contested, and the ball is deflected out of bounds. Last touch. It appeared it was called last touch by Detroit. They changed it now. It was kicked out by Ward.
Well, you can see the importance of having a point guard that has the ability to control the game, control the tempo of the game, make things happen and create things for his teammates. Right now, this is an area that Houston is struggling in. When Bobby Cerner comes back eventually, who knows how long that's going to be. Besides, when he comes back, he has no idea. This is a completely new system. He hasn't been to training camp.
And Wallace, he's been a jump shooting machine here tonight. That's his first miss. Delfino diving for it. It was poked into the backcourt by the Pistons. McGrady able to play it. Here's McGrady for 3. Wow. Well, the shot clock rolling down, and McGrady able to drill it. 77-69, Detroit.
Just bailing Houston out of a terrible offensive possession. Let's give Lindsey Hunter some credit here. He has completely come in here and disrupted this Rocket offense.
And this is similar to what we saw last season when it would be the combination of Mike James and Lindsey Hunter doing just that.
Of course, when you have a guy like Tracy McGrady, sometimes defense doesn't matter.
All right, here's Chauncey Billups returning, replacing the rookie Carlos Delfino. Phillips and Hamilton at the guards. Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace, Tayshaun Prince up front. Larry Brown is back to his starting lineup. The lob not handled by Ben Wallace. Hamilton with 1 on the 24.
How many second chance opportunities have Detroit come up with tonight simply by out-hustling Houston to the basketball.
Pistons lead by 10. Richard Hamilton, 15 points, 8 assists. Jackson. And Wallace unleashes. Hamilton able to chase it down. He's rejected by Taylor. It's a 4-on-2 for the Rockets. McGrady fires. Larry Brown says, let's slow it down.
This is the time Larry wants to go to Hamilton.
Especially with the mismatch that Charlie Ward guarded him.
Out of 3 on the shot clock, Billups. And we get the whistle from Scott Foster. And apparently a foul is called on Hamilton, a reach in.
That'll be 2 free throws. That's an interesting choice if he indeed fouled him, because the rebound was clearly going to the Rockets. I'm not sure what happened there.
Well, Charlie Ward to the line because Detroit is over the foul limit.
It's going to be a very difficult juggling act at the point guard spot. Let's go back to see what happened between Hamilton and Ward. Once the rebound is secured, see if there's an elbow thrown or a hold. There's the elbow. The left arm being whipped around that time by Hamilton. The referee caught it. Good call. I was talking about the juggling act. I mean, you can only do so much. Your point guards are Charlie Ward and Lou right now until Serra comes back. Unfortunately, you probably have to play about 25 or 30 games before Serra gets back. So what do you do in the meantime? Does Jeff Van Gundy look to trade? Does he look to create somehow differently with a different starting lineup?
Shot clock to 4. Nice play by McGrady, taking it away from Prince. Jackson gets inside, but met by Ben Wallace. Now McGrady being played by Hamilton. Draws the foul on Hamilton. That'll put McGrady at the line. Technical foul call on Richard Hamilton.
Wow, what a turn of events. 3 free throws here, and you've got a 5-point game.
So Richard Hamilton very upset with 2:59 remaining in this 4th quarter. We'll be right back.
Ernie Johnson in Atlanta with your IBM game break. Rudy Tomjanovich returns to the sidelines as the head coach of the Lakers tonight, as Kobe Bryant and company take on the Denver Nuggets in Game 2 of our doubleheader. They'll tip in about 15 minutes from now. Right now, let's go back to Marv and his pals.
All right, thank you, Ernie. The personal foul a moment ago was charged to Rip Hamilton, and the technical was not on Hamilton. We're told now it is Rasheed Wallace who was teed up. Rasheed, who had pulled it back in that department last season, called for the technical. Jim Jackson will shoot the technical. 84% free throw shooter last season. Pistons have an 8-point lead. Detroit is over the foul limit. Richard Hamilton's foul is 4th of the game, and that puts Tracy McGrady at the line. He's 2 of 3. So a potential 3-point play right here. You can see Tracy turning it in the second half.
Take a look at the foul that was called. This is kind of the Tim Duncan special. Get underneath the guy's arm and go straight up. That way you draw contact. McGrady drawing the foul, getting 2 free throws. And how about this? I mean, 2 defensive stops now from Houston. They've got a chance to tie or even take the lead here. This is incredible.
79-74. Pistons up by 5. They've led by as many as 11 just moments ago. Here's Rasheed Wallace getting inside and tips it home. Beautiful second effort by by Rasheed Wallace, who has had a solid game here on opening night. 20 points for Rasheed Wallace.
Well, he's a reluctant go-to guy, but he's certainly the Pistons' most potent force down on the block.
Yao Ming tries the reverse.
I don't know if I've seen Yao try that move before. First, we'll go back to the play that they had set up. Coming out of the 3 free throw opportunities, it goes to Rasheed. He misses the first, but the quick second jump tips it right back in again for Rasheed Wallace.
And Rasheed called on the foul, his fourth. Yao continues to struggle. Now 2 of 5 at the line, an 81% free throw shooter. Last year, he's missed all 3 free throw attempts until right there in this fourth quarter. It's an uncharacteristic performance here from Yao Ming, who, as we have been mentioning, is bothered by that partial tear in his left elbow. Sat out the final preseason game. He's not been able to practice full tilt. Says it's sore, but he's playing through it. But has had problems here tonight. Well, coming up next, the NBA's Premier Week continues. Carmelo Anthony, Kenyon Martin, and the Denver Nuggets going up against Kobe Bryant and the LA Lakers. Kevin Harlan, Doug Collins will have it for you. The new look LA Lakers. You guys feel it's somewhere in the New York, New Jersey area. Shaquille O'Neal will have the dial set for TNT. Might check out election results and then check us out in the first game. Look at the studio, see what the guys are saying, and then I think he wants to see the Kobe era get underway tonight against the Denver Nuggets, as Shaq and the Miami Heat are in New Jersey, face the Nets tomorrow night. Here's Rasheed Wallace. What a night for Rasheed Wallace.
It would not surprise me to see Kobe Bryant lead the NBA in scoring this season. He has a very heavy burden on his shoulders to lead that Laker team, try to get him into the playoffs and see what they can do from there. And he has obviously a much different cast of characters that he's playing with this year.
McGrady with the bounce pass, and Maurice Taylor is fouled. Ben Wallace very aggressively going for the rejection and made contact.
Well, Ben Wallace, as you say, steps over to help on the penetration and then decides, well, I might as well try to block the shot as well. Picks up the foul. Mike, you talked about Kobe Bryant. How about how quickly things can change in the NBA? 2 years ago, Denver wins 17 games. Tonight, they're probably the favorite over a Laker team that no longer has Shaq. Kiki Vandeweghe's done an unbelievable job putting that team together.
Give Rudy Tomjanovich some time to work these new players in, because remember, a year ago, Miami was the hottest team finishing up the regular season, and they did a great job. And those 3 players they acquired, Lamar Odom, Caron Butler, and Brian Grant, were the heart and soul of that Miami team a year ago.
Minute 40 remaining in the fourth. 6-point game. Detroit with the lead. Phillips played by Ward. And Yao deflects it, and it ends up going off the official, Zach Zarber, which gets a rise out of this crowd.
What a thankless job. Guy gets hit in the face with the ball, and everybody cheers.
Zach handles it well.
I actually kind of like his attitude. Yes. It's his second year in the NBA, and I think he has a real nice disposition out on the floor. He's handled some of the plays extremely well. Had some choice words to say to him during the game. I like him.
Here's Rasheed Wallace. 24 points for Wallace. 11 of the 24 in this fourth quarter, and the Rockets take a timeout.
Now this guy has taken over the game offensively for Detroit here in the fourth quarter. This time just getting a lucky bounce, knocking in the fadeaway, and then loving it.
Coming up next here on TNT, the second of our opening night doubleheader, the Denver Nuggets and the LA Lakers. from Staples in L.A. New look to the Nuggets with Kenyon Martin, signed by Denver. And the one-time Miami Heat Lamar Odom added to the cast in L.A.
One thing that'll be new for Denver is the acceptance of their new roles with the acquisition of Kenyon Martin. Now, Nene, who was such an integral part a year ago, now goes back and becomes a role player coming off the bench. Can all these, quote, star players coexist with one another? And Carmelo obviously wanting to be the brightest of the shining stars.
It's a great point. This team didn't have any talent 2 years ago. Now they've got so much, they've got to decide how to distribute the ball.
Here's Taylor for three. Czar is so poetic. The brightest of the shining stars. Down to a minute remaining on the fourth. Nice play by Rasheed Wallace, knocking it aside. Here's Taylor. 85-79. It's a 6-point Detroit lead. Final minute of the fourth. Ward guarding Phillips. He's able to get it up in a hurry. And the Pistons using the clock. Wallace from way downtown. Now Houston looking for a quick shot.
Preferably a three.
Brady's pass broken up. Prince on it and a foul.
Right, at that time, I thought McGrady was going to try and center it up to the middle of the floor and launch that three-pointer right in the dead center circle.
And he also had Charlie Ward on the weak side in the secondary break. Ward with 13 tonight. He would have been a nice guy to get an open shot for, too.
But here's where I thought he was going to pull up maybe the top of the circle and shoot that thing. Instead, the tough interior pass. Jackson just couldn't find the handle on it. And now Jeff Van Gundy has inserted players to take fouls. Initially, there's the breakaway by Phillips.
Phillips able to go the distance. Foul on McGrady is fifth. As you mentioned, substitutions by Houston. Ryan Bowen coming on for the first time. Bajan Nakbar checked in, but a 20-second timeout is taken by the Rockets. Detroit now leading 87-79 with 24 and 8/10 seconds remaining.
How about the play of Rasheed Wallace here in the fourth quarter? We mentioned earlier he's a little bit of a reluctant guy in terms of taking over ball games offensively. He's so unselfish. He prefers to let his teammates take a lot of shots, but he's so good, he might as well take over games down the stretch. Knocking down the three. We saw him on the post earlier. Here's the floater over Yao. This guy is a terrific offensive player, and I think this year in his second season with Detroit, we'll see him take over games down the stretch like he has tonight.
After coming over from Portland last season, Detroit went 20-6. And the Pistons did an excellent job adjusting to Rasheed Wallace. 24.8 to go in this fourth quarter. McGrady being played tightly by Prince. Fires for three. Rebound is handled by Rasheed Wallace. And this will wrap it. 8-point Piston lead. And on a night that they raise the championship banner to the rafters here at the Palace, the defending champion Detroit Pistons come away with an 87-79 victory over the Houston Rockets. Rasheed Wallace with 24 points, 11 of the 24 in the fourth. How about Ben Wallace? 6 of 8 shooting, 15 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 blocks. Chauncey Billups with 17. Richard Hamilton with 15. Tracy McGrady led the way for Houston, although shot only 6 of 18, but he had 18 points. Let's go to Craig and Ben Wallace.
Well, Ben, you never had to play a game after receiving an NBA championship ring beforehand. What effect did that have on you? Tell us about your emotions tonight.
It was a lot of emotion, a lot of excitement. You know, our energy was up early. And then, you know, we started to fall back a little bit, but we picked it back up. You know, during a ceremony like that, your energy up, your intensity up, your adrenaline floor, and you can wear yourself out early.
Both teams were struggling for points, but all of a sudden we had Rasheed Wallace put in a lot of them. You also in double figures. What difference will make by having him play with you all year long?
That's what he brought to us last year when he came. You know, he was able to score force team to double team, allow Rip and Tunstall to get open looks. And having him all season, you know, we're going to be able to step our defense up and really get out the guy.
All right, thanks a lot. Back to you, Murph.
All right, thanks, Craig. Again, the final score, Detroit 87, Houston 79. Thanks to producer Scooter Bettino, director Renato Lowe, our statistician Paul Evans. For Craig Sager, the Czar, Mike Fratello, Steve Kerr, and our entire crew, Marv Albert saying goodnight from Detroit. Coming up, the second of our doubleheader following a quick break. It'll be the Lakers and the Nuggets from Staples in L.A.
TNT, we know drama.